Hey guys, before we start the show, I just want to say that just because me and Daniel are going to be reviewing this movie and tearing it limb by limb, I do highly recommend you guys watch it just for fun. Never let reviews be the deciding opinion of what you guys, of whether you guys should see something or not. Always use reviews as a method of, oh, well, what did other people look at it? Because when I do reviews, I'm mainly doing it because I want other people to know what my opinion is, rather than people to listen to me to avoid a movie or not. And, maybe you'll watch this movie and you'll be those people who did like it. I mean, I found a few things to like about it. Daniel, not so much, but you'll find that out right now. See ya. I am so professional when it comes to putting this show together. It is amazing. That is why for the last 4 years we have gathered a total of 8 followers. Even though on SoundCloud we were doing pretty well, but SoundCloud was dying and I jumped a ship too early, and then a week later they're like, oh, SoundCloud was saved by Chance the Rapper. It's like, you son of a bitch.
It is what it is. We did this more for hobby than for gain. So now picture this. You get isekai, but instead of going to a magical land, you go to LA, and there's just fucking orcs everywhere.
Oh god. Yeah. But mind you, with all of that, there's absolutely nothing different about LA historically. It just happens that elves, dwarves, and orcs existed. But
dwarves that we don't actually see.
Dwarves that I didn't even know were mentioned in the movie, because mind you,
were.
Yeah.
Like by one character, an off comment in another state, by the way, not even in LA.
Yeah, who is flat out delivering his line so gravelly that I didn't even hear it the first couple of times I saw this movie, where it's all like, yeah, we used to party with orcs, dwarves, humans. I'm like, what was that middle one?
Okay, alright, Danny. I want to see if you paid attention enough to notice this.
What?
There's a centaur in the movie.
Oh, there's 2 of them, yeah. And I completely missed both of them.
I only saw one. Where's the second?
There's one centaur where they're beating down the orcs, and Will Smith is like, I need to know if you're with them or with us. And you just see a centaur.
That's the other one. The first one is when, in the very beginning of the movie, when they're driving into the compound.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a centaur out guarding outside. And I'm like, what the fuck is that doing there? I get it, but like, hello? And we don't see it ever again. I'm like, what?
like it's such a waste that they did the effect only for it to be a background character.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, why would you do the work for a background character that you'll never acknowledge, ever, or we'll ever see it again?
Yeah.
Okay, anyways.
Yeah,
We're talking about an old movie by now, actually, called Bright.
Yep. The 2017 Netflix's first experimental blockbuster, starring Will Smith and a completely unrecognizable Joel Edgerton. I'm going to go ahead and play a teensy bit of the trailer, because if there's one really great thing about the trailer is that these freaking trailers... If there's one great thing about the movie, the trailers are amazing.
About that. Everybody's just trying to get along and have a good life. All of the races are different. Just because they're different doesn't mean anybody's better or worse than anybody.
Hey, where's the diversity hire?
I got a dude in my car. I didn't ask for it, but the whole world is watching.
Wood, it's okay. You don't like me.
Man, I'm not out here to be your friend. I need to know if shit pop off that you got my back.
Can't hide it, Wood. Humans have physical tells. Like the face.
What's my face?
The human who needs a lot more conjugal love, type face.
Do not wink at me like that.
All Westlake units requesting assistance.
3 Adam 9, show us en route.
Shouldn't we wait for the cavalry?
We are the cavalry.
What is it?
Hey!
That's a magic wand. weapon that grants wishes.
That's whatever you want. You want to be taller or shorter? You want $10 million? You're not stealing that wine.
Long time you've been wanting me to see this movie.
Oh yeah, I wanted you to watch this even back when I thought it was going to be a good movie.
yeah, right. And then I just never got around to it because when it came out, I didn't have Netflix, and then when I got Netflix, I completely forgot all about it because I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I saw it last night before today. I saw it with 2 other people, and it was just the entire movie was just all 3 of us going, wait, what?
There's almost right off the bat, you can already tell why is the racism centered at these people when these specific race of people was this character too? Why are these characters hated? Why is this race hated more than this race?
There was so much inconsistency throughout this movie. It was almost more enjoyable to just point out, wait, what happened here, than to actually keep watching the movie.
Yeah. So
I could give you an entire list of all the scenes that just had me go, what? Huh? Hello? Like, my favorite, by far, my favorite one that's unexplainable is when they have the shootout at the strip club. And all the gangsters come in. That club is full when they walk in, by the way.
yeah.
And when the gangsters come and shoot the place, everyone ducks for cover, as you do when someone has gun. And then they proceeded to get absolutely destroyed by the elf assassins. But I'm like, where are all the people in the scene? Where did they go?
Yeah, but Daniel,
they just disappeared.
But Daniel, we're jumping ahead here. We're gonna get there because we're gonna be.
I am jumping ahead, but I'm just stating that just stuff like that all throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Just, where did they go? Where are they right now? I don't know if it's the editing or the way it was shot or like just what is happening, but there was just so much that I'm like, nothing is consistent.
Yeah.
And
well.
continue.
Yeah. Well. Before we jump into the movie, I think it's very, very good to mention that it's very appropriate to start from the very beginning, and that is, in 2015, Max Landis, Max Landis, wrote a script by the name of Bright. There was obviously some differences in that script, some of them that worked better than what we got, and some of them that thankfully they changed. But essentially, he took the movie to Netflix, and when Netflix read the script, they were like, oh, you know what? Maybe it might be a good idea if we dump $90 to $100 million into this movie and we can sell it as Netflix's big budget blockbuster that it would normally be in a movie theater, but you can watch it at the comfort of your home. So they went ahead and they got David Ayer. Does that name sound familiar to anyone? David Ayers?
It sounds mildly familiar.
Yeah, that is the writer of the critically acclaimed movie Training Day. He also directed some of my favorite movies, Fury with Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf, about the
tank.
Yeah.
The tank people.
Yeah, it was like a World War II movie that was so gritty and dirty that it felt like a Vietnam movie. And then he went on to direct End of Watch, which is about 2 police officers on the beat, on the beaten path, which is basically, I'm pretty sure it's the reason why they gave him this movie, because it's basically Bright, except get rid of Will Smith, put it Jake Gyllenhaal, and get rid of the orc and put David Pena. I mean Michael Pena, the little Mexican actor. But you know, those are good movies, obviously, but we cannot mention that name without mentioning the elephant in the room.
That there is merit behind this name.
Yeah, there's merit behind this name, and then all of that got washed away when he directed the 2016 masterpiece Suicide Squad. Yeah. You can even see in this movie that he took elements from his good movies and put them in here, but he put it's almost like all the work he learned in Suicide Squad he put in this movie, and it was showing all throughout it. Like the over-exaggerated gangster flair, the weird makeup creatures, which, I mean, they look good. I think the orcs looked really, really good in a lot of scenes.
The orcs look fine. I had no problem with the way they were presented. My main thing was, like, this movie didn't even need the fairy, like, at all. And the fairy is arguably the worst looking thing in the whole movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even need it. Like, why even have these scenes? These 2 minutes of scene.
But that is supposed to be funny, but it's, like, not. Because it's Will Smith saying these really, really ill-timed phrases that relate to the real world, like, fairy lives don't matter. This was only 2 years after the Black Lives Matter movement started. Like, really?
I mean, look, if this movie actually thought of anything in advance, it would be a different movie.
Yeah.
Because I will say, before we destroy this movie...
Oh, yeah.
Slowly. Before we destroy this movie slowly, I will credit right now where credit is due. There is a lot of good ideas here.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a lot of wasted potential here. Because as I stated when we first heard about this movie, I'm like, oh my god, is this Shadowrun the movie? Is this Shadowrun the movie? Because this sounds like Shadowrun. But then I'm like, oh, it's just a regular LA, it ain't even cyberpunk future, so I guess it's not Shadowrun, but kind of Shadowrun? I don't know.
And the only difference with LA is you'll see maybe like 3 or 4 buildings that aren't in the actual Los Angeles skyline.
Yeah, 3 or 4. No, there was multiple. I can tell you, like, looking at them, like, that's not there, that's not there, that's not there. That grass in that block isn't there. That's CG grass.
Yeah. Like me and you, we live in an area where we see the skyline every day, so we have it, like, completely memorized. But
even when they're driving around downtown area,
oh yeah,
like, there was just strange fucking CG put on stuff. I'm like, why are you putting CG grass there? There's no grass that's in that location.
And then like golden railings and stuff.
Yeah, like there was just so much needless CG touch up for downtown LA that I'm like, why? I thought the whole point of this world is that, you know, it's a seedy LA full of magical races and all
what was
segregated basically sections of the city. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, what was really going on there is they wanted to film in Beverly Hills, but they probably couldn't get the permits to do it, so they got downtown LA and they made it look like Beverly Hills. That
makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, like it's called Elf Town. Wow, you guys must have spent all night coming up with a name like that. But it's...
Yeah, basically, here's how the studio heads thought of it, alright? Well, LA has a Chinatown, they have a Koreatown, why not Elf Town?
Yeah. They're like, but shouldn't it have more, shouldn't it sound more interesting? Just put the title of the town in Elven writing and it will look fancier. It's like, what?
Okay. You know what? Alright, let's start from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah. So...
Okay. So, hang on, I'll take this.
Alright, do it.
For the first part of the movie, we get a montage of LA of street writing and graffiti. Street writing and graffiti that's telling you the lore of the land before you even know that's the lore of the land, because the movie doesn't tell you.
And mind you, it is CG graffiti because the lighting on the graffiti has not been tampered with. Like, they're being shined they're being shined directly under, like, lanterns in night, and there's absolutely no change of texture to the graffiti.
Paint. That's why it glows brighter than it should.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's like, you guys couldn't have paid a couple of LA street artists to paint the buildings. I mean, they're everywhere. Like, I passed by a building a few days ago where it was just covered in Rick and Morty crap. It is not that hard to get a permit to spray paint stuff like that.
Well, not that hard, no. Expensive, yes.
True. But we're talking about a $100 to $90 million movie here.
Well, it obviously wasn't used for the freaking plot.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, and you see these graffiti textures that, you know, they span from the elves are oppressing us, fuck the orcs, oh, the orcs are evil, oh, the Dark Lord will rise again, and an interesting thing that we will talk about later, because, oh boy, this got me and a lot of people mad.
Yeah, I mean, I from that 2-minute external YouTube video you sent me telling the history of magic in this movie, I'm like, wait a minute, all that stuff actually had plot relevance, but the movie doesn't bother to explain it.
Or they explain it really half-assedly. But there's like a really interesting spray paint, a graffiti job, where it's an orc like standing above people with a sword out, and it says Jirek lives, and it's like,
Jirek lives, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, wait, so is that a hero orc? Okay, interesting.
That's the hero of legend, according to the stories of the movie, but even the hero of legend, like, they don't mention him ever again. Besides, he led the orcs to defeat the Dark Lord the first time. I'm like, alright. He was a farmer orc with no blooded teeth.
Essentially, if you're not blooded, you don't have the right to grow out your teeth.
Yeah. Right, that's right. Yeah, a lot of orc lore is your teeth will determine your social status.
Yeah, and
So, yeah, I like that they kept that. I'm like, oh, okay. So, I also like a lot of the beginning scenes where they're driving around and the orc chauffeur for the rich elves has, like, you know, massive fucking teeth, and he's like, hey, where are your teeth, boy?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, he's fucking dissing you.
Yeah. And well, that's the interesting thing. So, like, after we show, like, this very interesting lore about, you know, not interesting, but very lazily put, like, spray painted lore, we also know that that there was a Dark Lord that attacked the land. He had the orcs by his side, attacking and dominating the world for him. And people have now completely put orcs in they're all bad. If the Dark Lord were to come back today, all the orcs would turn against us, which, I mean, given how they're being treated today, I wouldn't blame them.
Well, we need to also add, that was 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
which anyone following social politics knows that 2,000 years is a fucking several lifetimes on how much society would advance past that shit.
Yeah.
It's basically saying that is the equivalent of saying, oh, we should still have monarchs and kings in current day in LA, basically, because 2,000 years ago, somebody fought a king.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like given the extensive world we had 2,000 years ago, it's amazing that this all led up to a democracy.
We don't even know if it's a democracy. Who's the president? Is the president an elf? They said elves run the fucking world, so would that be the president's an elf? I don't fucking know. The movie doesn't tell me.
Yeah, so going on. Oh, we found so much wrong with the first 2 minutes.
We literally just started.
The first 2 minutes, and we found so much wrong with this.
You see, okay, before we continue, it's much to strain on this factor right here of there's a lot of good ideas set up, but they never execute any of them. So you're always left wondering, wait, so how does that work? You're just gonna leave me like that?
Yeah. And so we have some very interesting flashbacks where it is a scene of Will Smith just on the side of a block while his orc partner, by the name of Nicholas Jacoby, or Mike in the original script, was getting him a burrito. And it seemed from that little gesture that they, at that point, Will Smith's character, Ward, was maybe just a little annoyed by the idea of having an orc as a partner, but what really cemented him was the moment where an orc runs out of a drugstore where Will Smith is standing right in front of, pulls out a shotgun and, like, shoots Will Smith in the chest point blank. And,
Okay. Correction. He shoots Will Smith. You don't actually see how he shot him.
Oh, okay.
And we're led to believe this is a nightmare. So we don't even know if this happened at this point in the movie.
Yeah.
Until much later on, where they show that, oh, he got shot, but he got shot in the chest. I'm like, I don't care if he got shot in the chest. That is a 20 gauge double barrel. No, 12 gauge. It's a 20 gauge single barrel shotgun, point blank. Your fucking Kevlar, standard issue from police officers, only fucking made to block 9mm casings, not a buckshot. Will Smith should be hospitalized and or dead from that point blank.
or just like given like injury, like injury leave. Like, even if he would survive that, and I'm pretty sure there is someone like thinking out there like, oh well, it wouldn't penetrate, but it would like break every bone in his body, creating
it would probably break a few rib cages.
It will break a few rib cages, which will probably cause internal bleeding.
Yeah, because he literally had the shotgun, about no more than like a fucking 2 feet away from him?
Yeah, I would say like...
Yeah, he was standing right next to the door. It's like, okay, it's like, think of a store next to a sidewalk. Will Smith was on the edge of the sidewalk, and the guy came out of the store and shot him. That's 2 feet?
Yeah, we're talking about a good 2 or 1 foot away, and he took a fucking blast, a blast point blank by a shotgun.
Yeah, okay, the plot armor is very strong in this movie. Let's just go with that. Anyway, moving on.
But, yeah, so Will Smith wakes up, and, yeah, like you said, it was obviously a nightmare. And he gets up, and we see that, okay, he's Will Smith, and like every Will Smith movie, he's a very loving and caring dad. He has a wife who loves him very much, a daughter. But what I want to do is I want to turn away for a few minutes and talk about the original script written by Max Landis. Because if you remember, Daniel, they try to sell Will Smith that, oh, he's this distant asshole and no one likes him. But he's a really good dad and his wife loves him and doesn't seem to have any problems with him, right?
Okay, this whole opening I have issues with. Obviously.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Say those issues, and then I'll tell you what the original script actually painted this as.
Okay. So, given the context of the whole movie, the beginning intro scene with Will Smith should be not him being a loving father and having a wife that adores him. No, it should be he's a jaded man who just escaped death by the brink, has a lot on his mind, and is isolating himself from his family because it feels like a failure.
Yeah.
It should be his loving wife just be like, why won't you talk to us? Our daughter's been asking to see you for some time and talk to you and hang out with you, and you've just been locking yourself up and blah 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 blah, and you just go to work and you never come back home. I expect him to not be terrible dad. I expect him to be in a very troubled predicament because of what happened.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to take a fucking shotgun to the point blank and then wake up in the morning with having his nice coffee, have a kiss from his wife, and go kill a fucking fairy outside. Like, this is not the scene I expect.
Yeah.
And we just established you got shot, you have PTSD of being shot, and you're having nightmares and you don't sleep well, and you just walk it off like it's nothing.
Yeah. But he has little flashes throughout the movies. Yeah, little flashes throughout the movies that don't really seem to affect him in the moment when he's having them.
Yeah, little flashbacks that at no point have any detriment to any objective he's currently doing.
Yeah, and in the original script, Ward was estranged from his wife. Actually, the really interesting thing when I was skimming through it was he was estranged from his wife. He didn't like he was kind of just putting up with her, and the wife hated his guts. But she was still living with him because, one, she didn't have her shit together. So him being, him still having this sort of loyalty to her was just kind of putting up with her. But they even point out, like, man, that little girl, your wife was such a shitty person that you know that little girl isn't yours. Like, in the original script, Sophia was not supposed to be his biological daughter. She was supposed to be like a love child.
A fling.
Yeah, and but he's still taking care of her because he is under the impression that it is his daughter, and that kind of thing, though, it really did kind of help seed the character that the movie wanted to seed. Because, yeah, he's putting on this face for his wife and his family, but he does, well, his ex-wife, but he does hate her. He is very condescending to her. He's...
The whole movie wants you to hate Will Smith. There's a part that I love that Will Smith's like, "Oh, you don't want me as a friend. I'm too much of a fuck up," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? You have literally never done anything in the past 45 minutes to make the audience nor your partner hate you, like, completely, because you've been doing the right thing all the time.
Yeah.
Like, no, you want a friend like me. I'm too, what is it? I'm too loose cannon.
Yeah, and that's why I think the original script helps, because this is a man who is jaded from, the shitty experience he had with Jacoby and just the horrible home life he has right now with a daughter who, mind you, is twice as more bitchy. Like, that whole scene where he has with her later in the movie where she's all like, "Jacoby's gonna get you killed because everyone hates cops." She was just as racist as he was, like little kid racist, though, but she's all like...
But that was the weird thing. The very first moment, she's like, "Don't tell Jacoby to shut up, he's a person." And the next moment, "I'm scared that he's gonna get you killed." What the fuck, woman? I thought you liked him.
Yeah, and in the original script, she has that moment with him saying, "Don't call him stupid, he's a person too." But given the conversation they had in the original script was different than the movie, because it sounded like she herself was being she was trying to make it sound like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you the stupid thing you told me in the room because, if you want me to practice what you preach, then you have to practice what you preach." So, again, the script has the same issues that this movie is having, but there's little details in there that fit way better, and this is going to be a really, really big on-running thing throughout the entirety of this movie, is Max Landis had set up things that the director changed, but didn't change the other aspects to it. Like,
so it has lines relating to the other change, but that has no context anymore, so it's completely out of place.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to say it right now, but there is a really big script change with Tika that they changed in the movie, but they did not change their personality at all. So you get this really awkward performance from, like, a 20-something-year-old actress.
Okay, the only thing I could think of when I saw Tika was, did you guys like Fifth Element?
Yeah, but there's a reason why she's acting like Lulu, though, that came from the original script that they changed but didn't change completely. So, like sticking around, we have that very, very stupid scene of him, like, trying to take care of a fairy, and, the fairy looks Yeah, I'm with you. The Fae looks like it's obviously not there, and you get a lot of really awkward... I swear there was a part where when it was, like, poking at the bird feeder, I could have sworn I saw, like, an arm go inside the bird feeder. Like, there was some clipping in there if you look close enough. But, you know, he kills the Fae, and next to him he has these black gangbangers, like mocking him and saying, like, you know, like, oh, police brutality and other stuff you hear that people throw around in the news. And it was so weird seeing, like, a bunch... I mean, it's not unusual, no, but it is weird seeing a bunch of lowriders with what is black gangsters, because you don't typically associate lowriders with them.
Okay, look, this is movie black gangsters. Of course they have lowriders.
Yeah, but in the original script, those gangsters were Latinos.
Which, more accurately, given the area they're living in LA, would be more thematically fitting. Also, would be more thematically fitting for the actual Latino gangsters that come and hunt them down later. It would have been fucking foreshadowing if that was the case, but no. It was just the fucking dumb shit neighbors that no point.
ever show up, and just like a lot of characters in this movie don't even have names.
Because, like, it would be actually cool to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
If his neighbors are with Poison's gang, and
yeah.
That's why, you know, and that's why, like, you know, when Will Smith is confronting Poison's like, hey, we've never had a problem, you know, I've lived next to you guys, we good.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and then the guy that sees him kill the fairy, he's like, he can talk to his other people in an off-comment and say, see, guys, I told you he was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we could have a callback like that. We could have, like, something interesting of, like, a setup, a foreshadowing that they would confront each other later. But,
yeah, and I'm...
But no.
And I'm pretty sure that's... Because I skimmed it, because it's a 104-page script, and I only have...
Oh my god!
Yeah, and I only have so much time, but, yeah,
I mean, we do have a lot of time, but we don't want to spend on that.
No, I mean, I only have so much time to read it between when me and you, when me and you came to the conclusion, this is what we will do for the next show, compared to... today. So, you know, I got distracted working on other shows. I got distracted just watching anime and finishing Final Fantasy. So I wasn't able to go through the entire script, so I started skimming it, and I'm pretty sure that's what the initial idea was, because there's, you know, like, we'll get to Poison in a minute, but there's absolutely no mention of them at all. They just kind of show up to be, like, third level antagonists who only show up for a little bit.
Third level.
Yeah, third level.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud.
Yeah, but like, you know, next up we have Jacoby, who for some fucking reason just drives the police cruiser on his goddamn yard.
Yeah, and we're like, what? Why are you on his yard? Why did you drive up? Like, there is literally a driveway right next to you.
Yeah, are you trying to piss him off? Like, the whole thing is that he wasn't supposed to pick him up. He did this to surprise him because it was his first day since he got sick. And
not got sick since he's
why did I say that?
Fully recovered from being shot.
Yeah, Daniel, what did you call it? He had a severe case of lead poisoning.
Yes, he was. Yes, the gangster Poison wanted to give him a more lethal dose of lead poisoning.
Yeah, yeah, but that's what Jacoby's whole thinking was, is, oh, I'm gonna pick up my partner and, like, you know, he's gonna be so thankful. And it's flat out like, man, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, I thought I'd pick you up on your first day to work. And it's like, why did you drive the goddamn car on my yard? I just got it seeded. Now you're fucking up the growth. But the thing is, I'm going to give, there's a lot of scenes, there are a few scenes and aspects in this movie that I liked. It's the reason why it's one of my favorite bad movies, because I can find things in here to like, despite the fact there's so many things wrong with it. I think the only person who is truly trying in this movie, the person who is really giving it his all, is Joel Edgerton as Jacoby, because he's...
Okay, that's what I was gonna say right now. I'm like, look, I love him as an actor, but I hate his character in this movie. I don't like Jacoby as a character in this movie.
Oh, how come? I mean, there's problems.
They kept writing him as a character. It's like, haha, isn't he goofy funny that he won't shut up? And I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. Let's move on. Come on. He should grow. He should have a character arc in this whole film where he stops getting nervous and second guessing and starts just doing stuff. Yeah.
And, you know what? You're right. I didn't think about that. And it's a little hypocritical of me because I hate characters like that too. And you're right. He never grew, and
it's set up that he's this bumbling idiot with a heart of gold, and there's the seeds in this plot to make him grow into a brave warrior and a brave a leader of the people. Like this whole conflict should have made him not be a bumbling idiot anymore. It should make him confident. It should give him what would you call it? The bravado to not be so foolish, if you will.
Yeah, and
at no point does he stop doing it. I'm like, come on! It would have been good if we saw him grow and change.
and that's the thing too, is I feel like they tried. But what brought it all crashing down, and we'll get to it later, was that very ending that...
Yeah, I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? And it takes way too long, and it's not funny at all.
Yeah, and it's explaining the entire plot. It's like, we just saw the fucking movie. Why are you doing this?
I think they were trying to do, the dude from Ant-Man.
Oh, yeah.
But less interesting of how him explaining the plot.
Yeah, well, the thing is with Ant-Man, given, I may not be a fan of the first movie, but given in that movie, they filmed scenes that were so sporadically and random, that were intentionally taken out of context that it made the scene very, very funny. But they don't do that here because it really is just them in the room saying the whole thing all over again. But again, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Fucking
we got a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah. Yeah, but, the reason I liked him is, one, the makeup effect on him specifically, because he's the only one that they gave this to.
Well, yeah, because he would be on screen almost the whole movie. Of course, give him the best makeup.
Yeah, so... Not only does he look good, and I kind of like the designs of them, how they look, their skin is pink and very pig-like, but they also have these bluish, black, almost like ink splatters all over their bodies, that I really like the design of them most of the time. And some of the cool things they gave him is, I know it might be CG, most likely it is CG, but his nose, you'll see it twitch and move. And another thing I really like is every time there are loud noises or someone was yelling at him, his ears would twitch. And I thought, wow, you guys are putting more care into the little mannerisms that this makeup effect is having. And you have Joel Edgerton, who really does seem to feel like he is in a truly great movie that's going to be a game changer in cinema. And he is giving it his all, and, I think the performance is good. You did open my eyes with what else is wrong with the character himself.
Yeah, I have no problem with him acting as a character. My problem is that the movie does not treat him how he's supposed to be treated.
Yeah.
There's all this setup for him to be the prophesized warrior and to be leader of the orcs again, right?
Yeah.
And I expect them throughout the end of the movie to change into that leader they need him to be, because the conflict and everything would make him realize, I don't need to be so unsure. I can be what they need me to be, because I am the best there is.
Yeah. And I mean, the movie does start off kind of like a lot of a lot of the problems they're bringing up are problems that come out way later in the movie, that kind of ruin these first 40 or 20 minutes of the film, because I think the film was pretty solid in the first 20 minutes. I thought the performances were okay. There was some... I didn't really care for, like, the wonky racial stereotyping and stuff. I even liked how there were some callbacks and references to, like, media today, like the Joe Rogan podcast, and how he's...
Yeah, I was like, wait, you asked him to fucking just show up in your movie, and he just said, yeah, sure, why not? I'll show up for, like, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Why did you put him, of all people?
Yeah, it would have... It would have been better if maybe they picked, like, someone bigger, but I'm guessing since this movie is like, oh, well, people are really into, like, the internet age, it would be funnier if we put, like, a very popular podcaster in here. And, you know, it was funny, and it did create some very natural world building where they're explaining, yeah, he's the first cop on the force, but... he filed down his fangs. He's not blooded. We don't really see him as an orc. It almost feels like he wants to be a human, if anything else, which we do see in that first 20 minutes. He's a very nice guy, but people just naturally hate him because he's an orc. And... Hello?
Yeah, yeah, for me, I like... Yeah, you're right. Okay, the Joe Rogan, even though I found it, like, just weird why they got him,
yeah,
it does serve a very important, like, point for the start of, like, you know, the social economics between the people and orcs and blah, 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 and how, like, orcs aren't very enthusiastic about this, as they call it, diversity hire.
Yeah.
And, But that was my main issue with this whole thing, why did they keep saying he's a diversity hire? Why did they hire him in the first place? What politics were put that they needed to have him on the force?
See,
and what politics are driving them that they need to push him out now? Like, what is going on? Why are we here?
So this was the big problem in the movie that caught me off guard when I first saw it and told me, oh no, you're in for something not very good. They were selling this whole movie like, oh, it's Will Smith teaming up with an orc cop, and they do open up with the fact saying like, oh, he's the first of his kind, he's the first orc to become a cop, and I'm like, oh, well, why aren't we seeing this happen first? Why are we just being thrown in the middle of this story? We should see the politics, who's backing him up, exactly are they afraid of. They throw in little aspects, but it never really goes far enough. Like, if orcs are so low and below the food chain, why are they allowed to have, like, a PR department then?
Yeah, because my thing is this, right? All right, if they're looking for diversity hires, why isn't there an elf on the force way before a fucking orc?
Yeah.
Why are they not doing that? I mean, the elf is in the FBI. Why isn't there one in the police force?
Yeah. Like, you guys say there's 9 races, and I get it, you know, you bring up more people here, but, the more species you bring in, the more money you're going to have to put into their effects. But why not just put the lizard people in there? Because when we do see them in the movie, they look like humans except with those dilated eyelids. Like, why not just...
Oh, yeah, that one
woman
scene that happens.
Yeah. That one scene that I never caught, and mind you, I've seen this movie 5 times. I saw it 2 times when it first came out, and then I saw it about 3 times because my dad really likes this movie, and I'll get into that later on, but it's such a weird thing knowing that my dad likes this movie because this is not his cup of tea at all.
Yeah, that's rather weird.
Yeah, but and they do have a diversity hire. They have freaking like centaurs here. There's centaurs on the force,
but they're not on like okay. They're hired as like armed guards. They're never like police units that go out. Why?
Yeah. Like, are they their own unit? Are they only SWAT team?
No,
Because
that's why. Are they only like special task force for like magic people, or I struggle in all the rules that they try and peddle off to you because none of them are consistent ever.
Yeah, and but again, they're like, oh, he's a diversity hire, but we want him off the force because he's an orc, and we don't like orcs, so...
And I'm like, okay, now tell me why in the police force you would willingly kill your own to get him out. What are the politics involved that you need him to get off the police force? Is there, like, riots happening because... the orcs are not happy with him being there? Is there, like, riots for humans to get him off? Like, is there protests outside the police station that they don't want him there?
Yeah.
They don't feel safe with him being off. Like, there's so much they can do, and there's just never fucking explained.
Well, there is one thing. The reason why they feel uncomfortable with him there, and it is now appropriate to bring up the rest of that flashback, but the reason why the other people are very uncomfortable having him on the force now is because when Will Smith was shot, Jacoby ran after him, caught him in a alleyway, got beaten up, and the dude escaped. And people, and mind you, that's not what really happened, but they're under the impression that, oh no, what really happened was Jacoby went after him, and then due to Orc clan blood laws, let him go because he's not gonna capture his own kind. He's not loyal to us. Orcs put clan rules above anything else, despite the fact that everyone knows that he is not a part of any clans because orcs do not recognize him as an orc.
Well, okay, so if we're gonna go by that same logic that the movie's trying to say, this is my problem with that. If a fucking officer in real life goes out of line, an investigation is had, which they show a little bit of. We investigated the scene of the place where, his report came in, and we found that it is absolutely impossible for that to have happened, so we're gonna press charges.
Yeah.
Like, they could have just taken him to court, saying, why the fuck did you lie under fucking oath?
Yeah.
Like at that point, I'm like, why are you trying to just kill other people to get him off the court? You can go have a legal dispute now. You have a case.
And mind you, Will Smith mentions it too, like, are you with me or are you with them? Will you be able to tell them the truth if they ever put you up on the altar? And it's like, so you are aware that this could eventually become a court case then, right? But why isn't that already happening? Why?
That's what I'm saying. At this point in the movie, we established that they're, orcs do go to fucking trial for crimes. They're not just fucking gunned down on the streets.
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah,
get
yeah.
arrested. So I'm like, why is Jacoby not being pressed charges? Why do they want it to be this incident? It sounds like they're trying to make it a political ploy of some kind, but we don't fucking know because the movie doesn't tell us.
Yeah, and that's something I never caught until today, that orc that they see hanging out with other orcs, they were only there to bother him because he was possibly breaking parole. So they were just like, kind of telling him, you got to get out of here or else we're going to tell you PO. And so you're right. It really does show that they're not just going to gun these guys down, under certain circumstances. They will be like, okay, we're going to arrest you and we're going to throw you in jail.
Yeah, they have parole officers, they have everything. So I'm like, why aren't you just taking Jacoby to fucking court to, shame him in front of the public, on public, and, from due process? You have a case!
Yeah.
You have a case. So at no point is this done. They want Will Smith to record his partner saying, I did it, so that they can fire him.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, why do you want that? Why does internal affairs for the police department want this?
Yeah, and mind you, too, Those characters are so horribly written because they want it to be like, oh, these aren't just internal affairs guys, they're the racist, mean internal affairs guys. Like,
okay, all right. If you want to go with the racist, mean internal affairs guys, why didn't they just pressure Will Smith to file the case against his partner?
Yeah.
He's the one that got shot. why didn't they just tell him, all right, Will Smith, we need you to file a case of your partner. Here's all the evidence showing that your partner did not say the truth. You have a full case, and we can get him out, and you will walk away without having that partner no more.
Yeah.
Everyone wins. Like, I was like, wait, why didn't they just do that? If they just want him to go away.
Yeah, and
they have everything they need.
Yeah, and they even point out, you can't afford to get fired because you need this job.
That was the weirdest thing. They always kept threatening his family, and at no point does his family ever come up in the whole movie.
No, they're only threatening them financially. And there's like this quick line where Will Smith calls his wife to tell him to get her and Sophia out of town, but there's never a scene where they're kidnapped. There's never a scene where they barely escaped. It's just, okay, we're to assume that they're out of town. But we never know.
But they come back for the ceremony at the end. They're
Yeah.
just there. I thought they went left out of town.
Yeah, so we talked about, we skipped ahead a little bit and we talked about the internal affairs guys and the fucked up politics that they are not following at all. But we did skip over a very interesting but also clumsily put together scene where Will Smith and Jacoby are on the beaten path, and they get a call of, oh, there's this crazy homeless man swinging around a sword and babbling to people in the middle of MacArthur Park. I'm all like, there's only one street. Yeah, it's like there's only one city in it. There's only one part of LA that is that dirty, and that is MacArthur Park. But you have this guy swinging around, and he's like babbling, saying, the Dark Lord is going to rise again, blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of a funny scene, with like how they like arrest him and stuff, and how the guy goes from like a raving madman to kind of like a well-spoken person. But there is one scene before that just baffled me, when Jacoby is like, why do orcs always have to be the bad guys? And the deputy, the sheriff tells him, yeah, dude, Mexicans still get shit for the Alamo. And I'm like, wait, so the Alamo still happened?
Yeah, the Alamo still happened, even though 2,000 years ago, the fucking Dark Lord ruined everything.
Yeah, like, they forget... They forget that they are fucking up, like, timelines and stuff, and they're forgetting that, like, look, if we had these creatures here and these different aspects, things would be differently. This could be a world where the black people weren't enslaved. Maybe it was the orcs. This could be a world where the elves were the ones that were, like, invading first, a la the British or something. Like, there's so many things that could have happened differently, but we are still to assume that this is a world where the Joe Rogan podcast exists, where the Alamo still happened, where Shrek is still a thing. Wouldn't Shrek...
Yeah, Shrek is still a thing.
Yeah. Wouldn't Shrek be, like, really offensive to ogres? Because we know ogres exist in this world, according to, like, early drafts of the script, and Light mentions that there are 9 other races here. But it is insane knowing that this is a world that they created and did not put any form of effort into it. It baffles me that they didn't think to completely reskin history itself before making this movie.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like, if you're going to make a fantasy world with a bunch of fantasy characters, you have to stay consistent.
Yeah. You okay, let's bring up a problem I had that you pointed out and someone else pointed out to me. There was a story I wanted to make that was essentially a ripoff of Astro Boy and Battle Angel Alita. And my whole thing was, I told you guys, I don't want the world to be futuristic. I want the world to look like regular modern-day LA, except we have super advanced robots. And you pointed out, it doesn't make any sense why they advanced so highly with robotics and nothing else about the world changed. And that made me go back and just completely rewrite the world and fix how this world looks. You can't do, you pointed it out to me before. You cannot have one thing and not expect it to change other things.
Yeah, because that is how technology works. One innovation leads to another.
Yeah. So,
like, we don't invent the combustion engine for the car and then never lead to the plane.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like, it's the same shit. Like, one thing will lead to the next invention. They are not made mutually exclusive. Ideas are shared and improved upon and experimented with. If we know it works this way, what if it did this? That is how, everything gets made. So that's why when I saw super advanced fucking robotics that, can basically beat people, but it's still just a seedy, rural town and, barely any developments. They still play basketball, but they have an insane power sport like motorball. And I was like, what the hell?
Oh.
Why does basketball still exist when you have this insane, sport like this?
They weren't playing basketball. They were playing a smaller version of motorball.
Yeah, it was like a bootleg version of motorball.
Yeah. No, but that's what I mean. Like, Battle Angel Alita, they thought of stuff like that. Like, that was not the Earth at all. Like, I mean, it was the Earth, but things were different. Like, cars were different. They had shittier robotics there. Like, they did build a world in there, and given, even in the Battle Angel Alita manga, they do mention that, before robotics really, really took off, we did have modern-day society, so stuff like that will exist, and we will have references to smaller things, but, with things like Bright, they expect us to be like, this is modern-day LA that worked exactly the way it did. Everything in history that happened here happened in there, but it just had orcs and elves, and it's like, yeah, but you're not thinking about how is this changing everything, Man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that went all over the place. But, yeah.
That's how it goes. Because it's just like, bruh, you can't have these things be not related to one another.
Yeah, and, like moving on, we have a scene where they cuff the crazy bearded man. And I actually like how like I said earlier, I like how he went from a crazy guy to just kind of being like, oh, come on. Yeah. Just cuff me already. Yeah, fine. And he's in the car, and he's speaking Orcish to Jacoby and telling him, you have to remember clan, you have to remember the ways of your clan. It will be the only thing to save you. And your partner, I could tell, is blessed. And, that whole thing about clan ways will save you, that is a thing that was in the original script that they followed through. And the movie sets up that they're going to follow through on that, and then they completely just don't. But,
they just don't. They just mention, a human has a 1 in a million chance of being a bride. There's no way.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
And
why does that matter?
Yeah. Oh, because we have Will Smith in a movie. So, wink.
I honestly think the reason why Will Smith's such a good father is because he refuses to be interpreted as anything but a good father.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. That he does not want to be a bad guy, and he's dropped out of movies when they have offered him the roles of villains and stuff, or found out that he was going to be a really shitty person. That's why a movie like Hancock doesn't work, because the whole joke is that he was supposed to be a shitty human being who had superpowers, and then at the ending he just becomes like charismatic Will Smith, and it didn't work with what the movie wanted to go with. But it is one of those cases where, like, yeah, Will Smith is in your movie. They mention that there's a 1 in a million chance that a Bright, which is a person who can wield a magic wand, because if you're not a Bright and you pick up the magic wand, you literally blow up an entire room.
Yeah, but no, it's gotta be with your bare hands. It's not. It's very specific. Only your bare hands.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're getting there, because you know we get that mention of the Shield of Light when the feds are interrogating the bearded man, and he's like, yeah, there was a society that was created to fight against the Dark Lord and be ready for his coming resurrection. So, but this is where that video I sent you came in. They mentioned Jurok, and they mentioned the Shield of Life. Shield of Light. Never once in the movie, never once did they mention that Jurok was the one who founded it. Don't you think that's something you should mention in the movie and not a YouTube video made 6 days after the movie's release?
I'm guessing it was made 6 days after, like... Because, like, oh, hey, people are complaining that nothing makes sense. Okay, let's put this like, low-budget Smithsonian Channel-esque, like, fucking, thingy to put in that's, like, 3 minutes long. So that'd be like, hey, look, see, here's the War of the Land. It was in the movie the whole time, you dummies.
Yeah,
and I was like, wait, what the fuck?
And mind you, too... They were reusing footage from the movie and claiming...
I love it for dramatization. And I'm like, wow, the absolute audacity. You couldn't even, like, pay someone, like, draw something.
Yeah. Make
like,
drawings. Make cheap flash animation. Don't...
Or just better yet, just make it more graffiti on the wall. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Everything else is graffiti.
Yeah, fuck it. Like, we know it's supposed to be like the Smithsonian, the Smithsonian Channel or whatever the fuck. But seriously, it's like... Don't say this is a dramatization of one thing when it is pulled directly out of your movie and it has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
It's amazing, the audacity.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing that pisses me off. Like, people hate orcs, and at the beginning I understand a little bit, because it's like, okay, these orcs were bad, they were probably raping and pillaging all over the place for the sake of the Dark Lord, but they got rescued. The 9 species were brought together by an orc who is not just a brave warrior, but he was one of the first orc non-elven brights. And people still hate orcs, despite the fact that they wouldn't have the society if not for a fucking orc.
That was my thing. Okay, so you want me to believe society will hold a 2,000-year-old grudge against this race when it's also written in the same history book they saved everyone's life.
Yeah.
Society as you know it today would not exist if Jurok did not take the mantle to go against the Dark Lord himself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
And mind you,
right.
The Dark Lord is an elf. The Dark Lord came from elves. Seriously, we're pointing our guns at the wrong people in this movie.
And that was my weird thing. I'm like, okay, let's establish the Dark Lord, right? So the main centerfold of this plot is Mel Smith and Jacoby intercept a what would you call it? What does the police call it when they get the call?
Oh fuck! Not a distress call. Yeah.
A distress call? I don't know. Well, anyway, when a police car gets a call saying we have a blah 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 at this place, can anyone respond? Like so they are like, okay, we'll respond to this. So they go, and they happen to get in a gunfight with the people from the Shield of Light.
Which is weird.
So number one, we don't know that the Shield of Light are good people yet in this movie, because the intro thing that said that they were the founders of everything, blah, 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 and they were protecting the world, has not been mentioned once at this point in the movie. So we think they're just bad guys. We think they're just crazy assholes.
Yeah.
The way they go to storm the compound, they fucking find out that's like, oh man, there's a lot of people that died here. What the fuck happened? And then they discover that the elf lady that the feds are looking for, named Tika, has the elf wand and has been in this building, and she tries to escape, and they capture her.
Yeah.
So this wand as we are told, is one of the few wands in the world.
One of thing.
No, one of few. They said few.
Oh, son of a bitch.
So, no, they say one of the few remaining wands in the world. It is not told to us how many wands are in the world, but it is told to us, and the reason why you thought only 3 is that you need 3 wands that could be, and you could probably have the power to summon the Dark Lord again.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that there are only 3 wands in the world, it's to say someone needs to unite 3 wands, which are incredibly rare, together to summon the Dark Lord. Okay. So, the main antagonist, she has this wand belongs to her. This wand cannot travel an X amount of distance away from her from a magic force field that just gets placed like in a bubble around her for an X amount of vicinity. Because the movie doesn't tell us how far away that is or how far away that they have to be to outrun it.
No, because they quickly break that rule, so it is one of those cases where it sounded like a cool idea at first, but then they never play around with the idea.
So that being said, the plot we are trying to peddle off right now is that the evil elf lady wants her wand back so that she can summon the Dark Lord back into the world. However, at no point does the movie mention if she has any other wands.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And we are shown that she has like an entire posse of elves that follow her in this cult that she makes, I guess.
Yeah, well...
So, in theory, there should be her wand and 2 other elves in her cult that have a wand that they just need hers to summon the Dark Lord. But at no point are we mentioned that there's any other wand. There's just this one that the plot has. So I'm like, okay, even if she gets her wand back, she's no more closer to spawning the Dark Lord than she was without it.
Yeah, and mind you, it's her wand, and she's just tossing it to people willy-nilly. Oh, hey, I need you to go and kill the Shield of Light and go get Tika back for us. Here's my wand. It's like, okay.
Okay, so this is her wand. So she sent somebody X amount of distance away from their HQ. Okay, they sent her X amount of distance away from their HQ, which is not bypassing the force field of it having to come back to her.
Yeah.
To go kill, Tika and her band of cohorts, I guess. If you will.
Yeah, the cohorts are called the Inferni. They killed the Illuminati and are the new Illuminati.
Yeah, so, that being said, so later on in the film, we see that her gang of fucking elves can absolutely decimate an entire army by themselves.
Yeah.
Of, like, trained armed professionals or even, like, a whole, like, army of gangsters. Like, they take them all on, they take them out. And I'm like, okay, if you want Tika so dead, and you know she's fucking, like, really elusive, and you know she can't use your wand, why are you sending only one person?
Yeah, and mind you, backing up a bit, while they're surveying the Shield of Light's headquarters, they're seeing charred bodies that are still not only cooking, but look like they burnt from the inside out. It's horrifying, but also a really cool-looking effect.
It's probably the best effect in the movie, to be honest.
Well, in my opinion, it's the second best effect, because even though they don't explain what exactly Tika used, that fucking splattered elf was one of the coolest things in the movie. You know, the elf that was, like, stuck in the wall that looked like a piece of modern art? Like, that looked really fucking cool.
That was the coolest thing. Because it was like, what the fuck happened to you?
Yeah, what did she do to you? Holy shit.
Yeah, what did she do to you? We don't exactly know.
Yeah.
So okay. She sends one assassin. They fail, she takes the wand. And they show a flashback of what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
To that compound. So, what happened in that compound and when they arrived happened maybe within an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Within an hour of them doing that. But then again, you know, that was the distress call that they responded to. So yeah, it sounds about right. So we're then expected to believe that no other no other people in the area called for more police when they heard X amount of gunfire from when they got there.
Yeah.
So, number one, at no point did more people come or call for, like, oh my god, there's a shit ton of gunfire. Like, at first it was just a noise disturbance, right? And now there's a fuck ton of gunfire, and, you know, people would call saying, oh shit, you know, things are going down, so, you know, maybe you might need more police officers on the scene.
Yeah.
So at no point did they come. They get the wand, they get her. They see the wand fire. They see it fire off.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. It blows up a car.
It blows up a car. So that should tell you from minute one, oh shit, she's a Bright. Only Brights can fire wands. And then later on in the movie, they're like surprised. Wait, you were a Bright, you didn't tell us? I'm like, I thought you knew from when she fired the fucking thing.
There are so many times where they show that they know this common knowledge and that Jacoby has told him that. And, like, 40 minutes later, they're still like, how come you didn't tell us you were a Bright? It's like, you didn't see her fire the wand? Really?
We were all there. What the fuck have you been doing?
Will Smith says it himself when the dirty cops show up. And they're like, oh, we're gonna kill Jacoby and take the wand and use it for ourselves. And they're like, you can't pick up that wand because only a Bright can use a wand. It's like, okay, so you know this. And
yeah, you know that only a fucking Bright can hold a wand and use it. And you saw, not even like 10 minutes ago, that the person you, what's the word? Apprehended?
Yeah, apprehended.
The person you apprehended was able to fire it.
Yeah.
I guess Will Smith just thought she butterfingered it. It was like, oh man, you pressed the button the wrong way. It just goes like that. It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah. It's almost like when you're wrestling for a gun and you drop it and it like auto fires on its own.
Yeah, it sets up. It's almost like, oh, it's a gun. Like, you know, it's set up on its own in the struggle.
Yeah, it is. It is insane how much this movie is repeating its laws but making its characters stupid in the process, because it's like, you knew this, someone told you this already, why are you still acting like you didn't know this? And, you know, here's a scene that I did like. Some people found it kind of comedic, but I actually really like this scene. You have these cops that were giving Will Smith a hard time and especially hated Jacoby. And then you have the police chief, played by Margaret Cho, who definitely does not want to be in this movie. She looked exhausted being in that movie. But they show up and they're like, oh, this is a magic wand and it could give you $1 million, $10 million, have you marry a girl who wouldn't blow you in prom. And they're like, so what we're going to do is we're going to take it will help you, and then, you know, we're going to kill Jacoby in the process and kill, like, 2 birds with 1 stone. So there's that scene where Will Smith runs out and tells Jacoby, like, because they wanted Will Smith to go out and kill Jacoby and then they'd show up and kill him. Will Smith runs out and he tells Jacoby, are you absolutely certain that you did not let the orc get away? Are you sure that what you told me has been the truth the whole time? And Jacoby tells him, no. What happened was I chased after the guy, I lost him in the crowd, I thought I cornered him, but he was just some kid spray painting, and I knew that with the cops coming, another cop was shot. Like, these guys are not going to want to arrest him. They're going to want to gun him down in the spot. So yes, I helped him escape only because I knew this wasn't the guy. And I really liked that reasoning because it's one of the only thing that does kind of play to the rules that the movie set up, is like, he's not necessarily following orc law, he just sees a kid who is going to get caught up in a fire that he did not make. And, you know, lets him escape. So the dirty cops show up and they tell Will Smith it's time. Will Smith turns around and guns them all in a really cool looking slow motion shot of the camera turning from Will Smith firing the gun and then the bullets hitting the police, even though you do see some pretty impossible ricochet. But it's a really cool scene, and I really like the song they played during that scene. It's the only problem is that was the last scene of the movie that I truly, truly liked and found nothing wrong with it. And
I found something wrong with it.
What's up?
Want me to tell you?
Yes.
They had already decided collectively that they're like, all right, Will Smith has agreed to our plan, but we're going to kill him anyway. So Will Smith at this point does not know they made that choice.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, if they were already planning to kill Will Smith, why were none of them having their, like,
guns ready?
Fire?
Yeah. Why did they...
like, they would just gun them both down right there. Easy, done.
Yeah.
They'd write the story of what happened.
Yeah.
Like, if they didn't care about the truth, what stopped them from just doing it right there and then?
Yeah, you're right. And someone did point out, too, like, it really does show how crazy the plot armor is in this movie, because Will Smith did not take a single hit, even though they were firing at him. But we're to believe that, oh no, he was shooting them, and then they were falling back, still firing their guns or something like that. I personally really like the scene. You pointing it out to me, does open my eyes, but I still really...
I know, the scene is cool. I'm just more like, wait, if you've already decided you're going to kill them both, why don't you just do it?
This is why I wanted you to see the movie so bad.
Like, what? When I heard him say, Will, it's time, I expected them to draw up their guns and gun them down right there.
Yeah.
Like,
but no.
I didn't expect them, Will, it's time, we're going to wait for you slowly to shoot him, and then we're going to shoot you. Like, no, just shoot them both. Why does it matter?
Yeah. yeah, like, I get it. They wanted to... it was them wanting to bring down they wanted to bring down a false sense of security. Like, okay, it's time, Will Smith pulls out his gun and kills Jacoby, and then they're like, oh, haha, lol, now you gave us time to pull out our guns, and now we're gonna kill you too, and take the wand. But, yeah, the sad thing about that moment, though, is that is probably one of the last... That's when the movie just completely loses its fucking mind, and we have Poison show up. Poison and his crew of Latino gangbangers, and I want to point out something right now. I live in LA. Me and Daniel live very close to each other. Growing up, the specific area we lived in was shitty. It was gang territory central. It was really, really bad. And I feel the only reason I was protected from that lifestyle is because my cousin was a gang member. Thus, they knew my cousin, they knew my dad, thus making it they knew me. So I was never bothered by these guys. But it's always bothered me in movies, the absolute asinine portrait that they paint of Latino gangbangers. Because... Oh
yeah, they were just like walk up all with pants that don't fit.
Yeah.
And they're all covered and loaded with AK, shotguns, baseball bats, and everything, and they're ready to go, and they're full of tattoos, and I'm like, okay, look, man, I get what you're trying to do, but it's just like silly.
Yeah, and mind you too, there's a difference between the cartel, who would kill a cop, no questions asked, and then there's a difference between LA gangbangers. These guys, first of all, not all of them are like, oh, what's up, SA, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. Not all of them are like that. A lot of them will even just try to act normal to send people, the message like, oh, I'm not dangerous right now. But
okay, if we're gonna go on that, so there is a lot... There's still gangs here in LA.
Oh, there is.
Generally speaking, there's still a lot of them. But the thing is, any normal person, just doing their shit will never run into them unless they go to their territory and, invite them to, come fuck with you.
Yeah.
They don't go out in the streets of LA fully armed to the teeth in truck beds gunning down cops.
Yeah.
in the streets. That doesn't happen. Of course, movie logic, I get it. We're gonna excuse that for now. But I am saying that, there's one thing of, a movie doing the stereotype, and one thing the movie doing the stereotype to, fucking 11.
Yeah. Because you have a guy who... I don't know the actor's name. He was fun, despite how cringy it was most of the time. But you have the main gang leader, Poison, who is a wheelchair-bound leader. And
I actually really like the idea that the leader of all the Hispanic gangs is a guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah, and it gave him a stake.
Like, I actually, okay, the one thing it did right among all the stereotype was, like, give these gangsters a purpose to fuck with them.
Yeah!
And it's almost strange. I'm like, why are these characters that are immediately eliminated have more plot relevance and story and motivation than any other character in the fucking movie? Like, he comes in, he's like, man, I've been wheelchair, I can't walk, I can't make love to my woman, I just want that wand so I can be whole again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is the most relatable thing I've heard this whole movie say, and they're immediately removed so that they can go to stupid bullshit.
Yeah. But like, and that's why in the movie, given how ridiculous they are, why Poison was willing to kill cops to do that. Because another magical thing that people do not understand is if the freaking gang is not directly affiliated with the cartel, they're not gonna fuck with the police. You know, they're not going to just walk up to the police and gun them down unless they were fucking crazy and asking for a death wish. They will.
And I want to add, this movie's version of the police, they're standing guard outside buildings, fully armed to the teeth.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to invoke, like, if you fuck off the laws, we will come end you.
Yeah.
Like, that's the tone this movie is. But the entire movie, no one has any fucking regard for the cops, because they never show up. The whole movie, they never show up. At one point, the SWAT shows up, they're immediately removed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They show up, and then they get mowed down by Layla's gang.
Instantly. Instantly. At some point, someone called the SWAT team. But it wasn't for the disturbance of, you know, I don't know, the entire gunfight and explosion that happened at the Shield of Light. No, it was the gunfire of gang members in a strip joint in the middle of nowhere. Oh, send the SWAT team there, because we need our titty bar.
Yeah, and mind you, like, the moment the SWAT team and the magical feds show up at the Shield of Light place, just a few blocks away, we have Will Smith and Jacoby driving in the car with their lives on the line as the entirety of Poison's gang are trying to shoot at them and bring the car down. No, we're gonna ignore that big domestic disturbance, that big, like, public disturbance, and we're just gonna focus on the place where the explosion happened. It's like, there's more shit happening right now, you guys are like 2 steps behind of the plot.
Oh, man. Okay, let's try and move on forward if we can. Where did we leave off?
So, you know, Poison's gang showed up. You did point out how the feds show up at the safe house, and then they get killed by Layla's gang. So now that leads us.
Okay, right. The feds show up at the Shield of Light, right?
Yeah.
The headquarters. Why is not that building under full lockdown?
Right? They leave it alone multiple times.
Okay, there was a magic user here. There was magic used here. If they want that wands don't exist in the normal public, why would they leave a crime scene of wand use?
Yeah, why aren't they...
Unguarded!
Yeah.
They're just sitting there. And mind you, that safe house is loaded with fucking ammunition and explosives or something.
It's a... Yeah.
It's fucking loaded to the brim.
Daniel, you want to know something really funny about the fact that the Shield of Light had all those guns? Is you have that scene earlier in the movie where the Shield of Light member is talking shit to the feds, and they're like, oh, so when the Dark Lord comes back, what are you gonna do? Shoot him with guns? Fire a drone at him? You're gonna need a wand. And I'm like, then what's your excuse?
Yeah, and that's what I was getting, and I'm like, okay, for guys who don't believe that the Dark Lord's gonna be affected by weapons, you sure are fucking armed to the teeth.
Yeah, you have some major firepower there. We're talking about, like, guns that are in no way public legal.
There's a 50 cal in that safe house. There's a fucking 50 cal sniper in that fucking safe house. I'm like, what are you gonna do with that? Why do you have that?
Yeah. We all know that whenever the sequel decides to come out, because the movie did get greenlit, we know there's gonna be a lot of scenes where the Dark Lord is just melting through bullets and shit like that. Like, guns are going to be completely nonsense in this movie. And, but like, you know, we have that scene, but continuing on, because the moment Poisons and his gang shows up, it turns into a movie that I should like regardless. It turns into the... we are on the run from multiple parties, and it is just an all-night chase, survival to the death kind of thing. Because we have that scene where they go into a nightclub, a titty bar, as you will. And we see, like, human strippers and elf strippers, and even at one point we see a lizard lady, which... mind you, is very, very different from the public lizard man cross symbol that they made. But we have that scene where they're kind of just in there, and, you know, Tika's just following them, acting like a fucking weirdo. Oh, shit! Actually, I completely forgot to mention something about Tika. The reason why Tika is acting so weird and out of age for her, because there should be no reason why she's acting like an alien. The reason why she is dressed up so young and acts so young is due to the fact that in the original script, Tika was supposed to be like a 7 or 5-year-old child. This was supposed to be a little girl that they turned into an adult woman, but they didn't change any details except for her age. She's still acting like a child, she's still dressing like a child, and it made me really, really embarrassed for that actress.
I hate everything you just said.
Really?
I hate everything about that, because at no point is it said to you that she's supposed to be a child that just looks like an adult.
Yeah, no, that's like, it's one of those cases where...
For the longest time, I thought that the evil antagonist lady is like, oh, this is my former lover, but she escaped me and she stole my wand. And it's like, no, this is my sister. I'm like, your sister?
Yeah. Yeah,
like
but
sister as in like your cult brotherhood, or like actual sister?
Yeah, but then they don't. But then they're not explaining any of like the why is she acting like a kid? Why does she mentally seem way older than she is? I mean, you have that entire scene where she is like rubbing her head against stuffed animals, and then they have to pull her away. I'm all like, what adult woman is gonna act like that? Like, maybe they could have wrote in the script, oh, before, when Tika got attacked by the assassin fired, like, a scrambling spell at her, but didn't finish it correctly. So that's like Tika is still somewhat competent in some scenes, but it's so, like I say, I cannot explain it enough. It is so embarrassing for this actress, and if I was the actress, I wouldn't even want to come back for the sequel, but she seems to be the one that wants to come back the most and is giving people the most news about the sequel.
Okay, so help me understand one thing in this movie. So, bad guy elf lady and her cults of other elf ladies would meet under that holy tree. The same exact holy tree that is inside the Shield of Light HQ we go through.
Yeah.
But at no point did the protagonists find this tree the first time they visited. At no point did the other police come, saw this room. And at no point did the FBI show up to see this room. But we come back to it and we just know where it is.
Yeah. But... Yeah, you're right. Am I supposed to believe that while the Shield of Light was operating, that they also had an Inferni complex operating underneath the Shield of Light?
So yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. So if, let's say, the Inferni, this is their meeting spot, this hidden tree, right?
Uh-huh.
And so when Tika says she escaped, she just escaped to upstairs.
Yeah.
I escaped them, I escaped to upstairs, and my sister, who was downstairs, sent one of her assassins upstairs to kill me. I stopped them. I went outside. I got taken by you guys elsewhere.
Yeah.
Then they came to chase after us, and we come back here in the end.
Yeah, there's an entire plot going around here, but again, that's the thing that the movie's always going to have, and if we keep picking at these, we're going to be here all day. But
that's what you wanted. You told me that's what you wanted.
No, I know. No, I'm not rushing us. I'm just saying it's happening because if we the reason why I try to move on is because I want to break down everything. I do. But the thing is that the more you watch this movie, the more you're thinking about the movie, the more, bigger the Pandora's box is getting. I was not expecting this to turn into a Pandora's box thing.
Oh,
but,
yes, you
man.
were. That's why you wanted me to watch it, so that I could give you the key for the box.
Man. Yeah, but no, this is fine. But... yeah, that was the thing. The reason I'm pointing that out is because I did not once ever think about, what was that tree there? I was just kind of like, yeah, you know what? They probably had it to protect, they probably had it for some other reason. But then you're right. There are scenes of them showing the cult of elf ladies under that tree, and now it just opens this whole Pandora's box of, wait, this doesn't make any sense. If the Shield of Light is supposed to be protecting the world from the Inferni, then why are they working with the Inferni?
Inferni literally right next door.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure somewhere in the script it was supposed to be a completely different complex.
It's a different tree of light, sure.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm pretty sure in the script, they were supposed to go to the Inferni complex, and that's how the tree fits into it. But they probably didn't have enough money to build another complex, so they're like, fuck it, let's just say it was under the Shield of Light the whole time. Yeah. It is absolutely asinine how freaking ridiculous this script is. And mind you, they want this to be a trilogy. They wanted this to be Netflix's big epic trilogy, and they did not bother to put any work that goes into making a fucking trilogy. But...
at no point do I even see sequel bait in this movie.
Yeah, no.
There is no point of sequel bait. It just kind of exists, and there it is.
Yeah,
Bye.
just with the added promise that someone else is going to come and resurrect the Dark Lord. But I'm happy that the movie does end in a way where it's like, I don't need another one. If you're not going to make another one, I don't need it. I'm not asking for one. But moving on, we have that titty bar scene, and the thing that angered me about this is it served absolutely no purpose except just to have another shootout, because they go in there is no conversations between the characters. They go in there, they go further in, then the place gets shot up by Poison's gang, and then wait, are we flipping something around? Oh shit, I think we flipped something around, my bad. They didn't go to the titty bar. They went to that rave.
Was that before? No, that's before the titty bar. Yeah.
That's what I mean. It was before the titty bar. Because I'm
all right. Well, it's not even that whole rave thing isn't even important until the later half of the movie.
Yeah, I did.
It's like, oh, you ruined my party. I'm like, what? That was your party.
I did want to point. The reason is I want to point that out because that's one of the few aspects of the film that I like. I really like that they go into this rave where they're playing heavy metal, and the fact that it's owned by an orc, an orc gang member. What made me really laugh in this movie, and I wish there was more little jokes like this, is that in this world, orcs are essentially the creators of heavy metal, or at least the ones who picked up heavy metal the most. And I love the fact that there's a scene in the beginning of the movie where...
that they're blasting music, and it's like, what are you talking about? That's the greatest song ever made.
Yeah, that was amazing, where it's like, man, let's turn off this... orcish fucking music, and it's like, you just turned off one of the greatest love songs ever made, and it's like, it just sounds like regular, Megadeth or something, and
I'm like, I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I'm like, that was cute. I wish you guys had more of those, but yeah, it's a scene that doesn't serve any purpose until the second half, and it just feels like a copy of paste of the next scene, because they're walking in there, they have guns, and the gang members are keeping an eye on them, but they're letting them pass. Things don't suck.
I get what they're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to lose the gang members in crowds of people.
Yeah.
But then they realize, oh shit, we just put all these people in danger for being fucking idiots.
Yeah, because even though we may not be firing off the guns, the gang member... You have the same guy in the blue jersey in 2 scenes show up with 2 Uzis and enter the exact same way in both of those scenes.
Yeah, he just has fucking magazines all over the place.
Yeah.
He just fires up in the air and like, hey, I have 2 Uzis, have you seen them?
Yeah.
My favorite thing about that scene, though, is how stupid it is when the bad guy, well, not the bad guy, or just like the orc leader that made that party.
Oh yeah, that's his name in the script, Orc Leader.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't even have a name.
No, Daniel, it's David Ayer. Like, that guy didn't even have the name for the main villain in Suicide Squad.
Oh, God. Okay, anyways, Orc Leader,
yeah.
Man, he says, I hold this party once every year, and the only rule is no guns and leave your racism and bullshit at the door. So I'm like, alright, if this is the rule for no guns, I would expect they wouldn't even be allowed to walk in without getting patted down.
Yeah. But,
or they would remove the gun at the entrance. Like, there would be, I would expect there would be some form of security to make sure that not everyone can come, like, armed to this, like, once in a year occasion.
Oh, monthly. It was monthly.
Oh, right, it was monthly, not once a year. Yeah. So at this monthly occasion, I would expect there would be some kind of security detail to ensure no drama happened. Like they would have, some orcish bodyguards and whatnot,
yeah.
And they would just like be bouncers. They wouldn't have guns. They would just probably have like tasers or like batons.
And the
like,
thing,
non-lethal things, just to ensure that when the rabble rousers start some shit, that they're dealt with.
Yeah, and the thing is too is like with the movie. Well, they do have security guards, but it's so weird and doesn't make any sense later when they walk in with guns, and yeah, they're not running in firing them, they're not running or trying to cause a disturbance, but like, you do see the presumed orc security just eyeing them, and they don't jump on them. And mind you, they jump on them too the moment Poison's gang shows up and starts shooting up the place. That is when now they perceive Will Smith and Jacoby as a threat, and they jump on the both of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, okay, your only rule is no guns, yet they're walking in with a fucking gigantic shotgun and just trying to go through the mosh pit, and I'm like, look, man, someone's gonna shoot that gun in that mosh.
Yeah.
You think that's not a fucking safety hazard? It's like, no, so the bouncers don't do shit until gang members show up, and when the gang members show up, they're just like, blah, 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 we're gonna fight each other, and blah, 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 to try. That scene is a huge mess, by the way. I have no idea where anyone is at any point. I didn't know the layout of that room at any point. I didn't even know where they were going. It looked like Tika was trying to get them to go through a vent in the wall, but then she decided not to, and then they go through just a door that was just empty. I'm like, what is the layout of this room?
Yeah, It didn't make even the tiniest lick of sense, that whole scene. And I swear, there is a moment where you see that blue shirt gangbanger get tackled down and beaten down by a mob of orcs, only for him to show up again in the titty bar, and that's
completely fine.
Yeah, completely fine, and not a single bruise on him. But he shows up in the titty bar with the rest of the gang, and with Poison in tow, and they start shooting up the place. And they have that really stupid, awkward scene where they're like, "Okay, we're in a titty bar gunfight, let's go." And
okay, but there's one detail we need to address right now.
Yes.
And the orc leader says, you ruined our party, we're gonna get you. All right, Poison and his gang ruined your party, also, but you didn't come to the titty bar to chase after them.
Yeah.
You didn't chase after the people who came and actually shot up the bar.
Yeah, like, and the thing is when we see that character later, he seems like a very smart and level-headed character, but, so, obviously, it would make sense in the beginning I only let you guys through the bar. I only let you guys through with the guns because I could tell you were probably running from something. And the guys who were chasing you showed up at my club, but I'm still gonna go after you because, you know, you brought them in. It makes no sense, and it really does kind of it really does contradict a character that they wanted to show is a legitimately smart character, but is just as stupid as everyone else in this damn movie.
Yeah, because it's just like, okay, so you don't... Okay, all of Poison's gang couldn't have been in that titty bar. All of them could not.
Yeah.
And I would expect they would know, being, like, you know, a prominent gang in the area, they would know all of their members. And I would expect in that scene where they dragged Will Smith and Jacoby into there, they would see other Poison gang members just, like, thrashed or killed in that fucking, like, room as well.
Yeah, and there's no mention if they were killed before them, or even if they even bothered to apprehend any. It doesn't, you know, there's no mention of them.
Yeah, there's no fucking mention of them. I'm like, okay, I get if you, like, you bring the guns, you get taken out, right? Just like the same rules of, at John Wick, right? You bring the gun to the
Continental,
place,
yeah.
The Continental, they come fucking take you out.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I would expect the same rules apply. Nah, fuck you.
Yeah, no, it's... Man, it is just a big banana, a big banana field of mess going on in there.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Bar. Poison wants to won. I thought that at this point the movie was going to do something clever since they saw that one of the gang members got it. They freaking exploded and it killed everyone in that room. They're like, oh, okay, let's just give him the fucking one. He'll just explode. Like, I'm like, oh, that would have been great. That's actually a really cool fucking way to get rid of the scene. Like, you could have Will Smith, all right, it's like, all right, Poison, I'm going to trust you. But I'm going to tell you how to use it, all right, so you use it correctly. You have to grab the one with your bare hand and wish for the best.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then Poison being, you know, a cocky, you know, overconfident man, he'd be like, yes, give it to me, you know, please. And he's like, all right, I'll show you what happens when you double-cross me, blah, boom, and the air blows up.
Yeah, but no, Daniel...
That would have been great.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen.
No, Daniel, we need a scene where the elves come in and they start murdering people horror movie style with blood splattering on the windows and you don't see who did it. And then you see...
With the utmost efficiency and accuracy that at no point in the movie's ever shown again.
Yeah, with them, like, grabbing dudes by the neck. There's, like, a part where they slit, like, Poison's throat and then they, like, pick him up by the slit and then throw him at another dude. It's like, no... We want to have that scene, so instead of going with a very logical and, you know, if not hilarious death, we have to go with the, ooh, you have to be scared of the elves now, even though the elves are basically just the vampires from the Underworld movies. There's nothing unique about them at all. But, yeah, they escape and... kill and like I don't know if it was SWAT team or if it was the magic police, but you know they kill some dudes outside of there, allowing.
No, that's just SWAT.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because at this point, the magic police doesn't even know where they are.
Oh yeah.
The gas station.
Oh my god, I can't wait to get to that scene. Luckily, that's the next scene we're going to. It's amazing.
Okay, please continue. No, I just saw this. I'm gonna fucking thrash everything. You're gonna notice all the things you didn't notice because I had 3 people that were asking the same question.
No, because I know you know how technology works. You're a stickler for the proper use of technology.
Yeah, no, I have something to say on that scene for sure.
So you have a scene where they go to a gas station and they go to a gas station bathroom, and it is one of the few moments of like attempted character development and them just trying to talk it out. And you do get, you know, kind of a sweet scene where like Jacoby said, I want to be friends with you, and Will Smith is like, you don't want to be friends with me, even though it doesn't make sense because, you know, you're not being portrayed as the bad person you want to be.
One thing to note though, I would have really loved if they actually showed us why Jacoby wanted to be a cop so bad.
Yeah.
This was the scene for that, and they don't tell you.
Yeah.
You still don't know why a police officer's badge means so much to him.
Yeah, like just say, I want to be the change for the orcs like Jirok was. I figured if I put that shield on my body, it will tell people that not all orcs are bad. I wanted to change the face of the orcs like Jirok did. Yeah.
Easy. It would take 3 sentences and we'd get, like, you know, a good scene with Joel Edgerton, like, really showing, like, why his character cares so much and why he's the way he is. And, you know, that you'll actually fucking like him. And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get that.
No.
Why aren't we getting that? This is the scene for it, goddammit!
Because we need Tika acting crazy, where there's a scene where she's rubbing her hand against a graffiti shield of light, and then she jumps off when Will Smith sees her, only for Will Smith to make a joke about how fucking crazy she's acting. Which is an on-running joke in the movie, and it's not funny at all. How, like, Tika will just be bouncing. Not. Yeah, where Tika will be bouncing all over the place. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's absolutely not funny. It serves no purpose besides wasting time.
And again, convincing people not to hire that actress. Because if I was a director, well, no, I would be one of those directors where I'm like, oh, you were in the Star Wars prequels? Okay, come, I'll give you a chance. But
like, you could probably look at, like, you know, the same thing with Stranger Things, of like, oh, look, she's the girl with Stranger Things, and Godzilla, holy fuck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but, you know, it did happen. You have Natalie Portman, who was in the prequels, and then you literally had another director go walk her on set and say, you need to take a chance on this actress. Please do not hold Star Wars against her.
Yeah, please don't. She did so many good things after that.
yeah, like, I think her first big breakout was The Black Swan. That's when people are like, holy shit, this girl's amazing. But it you know, it's not a funny scene, and you have Will Smith calling calling
himself the bad guy. Oh, I'm such a bad dude.
Yeah.
I want a friend like me. And it's like, bitch, we literally just broke every law in our book for each other. You want to come with this bullshit?
Yeah. You killed cops for him.
For me.
Yeah.
For my sake and yours.
Yeah. So it's like, you are not a bad guy at all. The movie wants us to think you're a bad guy, but you will not let the movie portray you as a bad guy because you're Will Smith.
Because I want to remind everyone that was watching this movie, at this point, Will Smith has made it his fucking, like, motivation to hate Jacoby is that he's going to fuck with his daughter and his wife's livelihood because of his fuck-ups in his work.
And his pension. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and his pension because he wants to retire. So at this point in the movie, Will Smith's only motivation for being mad at Jacoby is because he feels that he will not be able to retire how he wants to with him as his partner.
Yeah.
So you know, he did the one thing that would fuck up his pension. He killed cops.
Yeah. A police chief too. It wasn't just some
Yeah. He killed his police chief and fellow police fucking force in cold blood, gunned them down, and like his whole motivation at that point was, I want to retire just fine. No problem. And you know, he made that decision, he made that call. And at this scene, he's like, oh, I'm such a bad guy, you know, fucking, you don't want a friend like me.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, you ain't ever want a friend like me. Anyway, sorry, I had to. No, I didn't. I hate that movie. Anyway, yeah, then you know, they called Ramirez, who was Diablo. People will recognize him, even though I couldn't. He was Diablo in Suicide Squad. The only good thing in that movie.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, that was the dude with the tattoos and the firepower. But he shows up, and because they're like, oh, he doesn't work with LAPD, we can trust him. And he shows up and is almost immediately telling them to get down on the ground, and Will Smith is under the impression, oh, fuck, you want the wand too? And it's like, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm just hearing on the radio how there was a guy who shot down police officers. And...
Oh, and there's the other weird thing about that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, no other police officer has gone to the Shield of Light HQ because no backup came when Jacoby said there are officers down.
Yeah.
At no point did they come, because the bodies were still there when the feds got there.
Yeah.
So they just left them. And then when they come back, the bodies are still there. So at no point did the police actually know who shot the officers. Because Alter Clubby said, we have officers down. He did not say, oh, Ward shot officers.
Mm-hmm.
So the police don't know that Ward shot them. The police don't know who shot them. The police didn't even come to check who shot them.
Yeah.
And so when Rodriguez says that, I'm like, who told you that? Literally nobody knows what's happened in the past couple hours. Because no one's gone to check.
Yeah, and you know, like, the other really big problem with that scene is that Ramirez calls the magic feds, and then Will Smith takes the phone from him, and he says, like, look, if I had to kill cops, but it was all for the sake of protecting the wand, will I get in trouble for that? And he's like, well, if it was a magical matter, then no, the feds will be able to turn a blind eye to that. But the moment he talks about that, the moment he's about to give them the location, you have the Inferni cut, like, the phone line, but it also kills the cell phone line.
Okay, let me just break down a few things about that scene that I had issues with. They say he has no tie-ins with LAPD because he's a sheriff. So why does he have the Fed's personal cell phone on speed dial?
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, anyone that knows how technology works, and this is what you were trying to get at, knows that cell phone towers, when one goes down, the call will automatically switch to the nearest tower. Unless her and their Infernis broke every cell phone tower within a 3-mile radius, that cell phone call would still go through.
Yeah, but we are only aware that there are 3 active Infernis. It's not like there's an army of them who all systematically cut the phone line at the same time. Unless these
Well, I mean, in the scene where we see her and all the other Infernis, there's like 6 women there, but we only see 2 of them in the movie.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's freaking ridiculous how they're like, oh, they cut the cell phone tower. No, they can't make calls. It's like, no.
But that's the weird thing. Like, as they cut the cell phone tower, he also hung up. So it was like almost like, why cut the cell phone tower if he was already like, I got their location, let's go.
Yeah.
Or actually, okay, they were tracking where they were based on the phone call, and they were trying to like narc it down. That's why the guy says, "Oh, I could only track it down to like a few blocks." And
yeah.
I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What? You wanted him to tell you where they were, obviously. Of course they wouldn't, so you started to track them. But because the Infernis cut that one cell phone tower, you're no longer to get a precise location?
Yeah.
Alright, sure. In this world with fucking magic, you can't find one guy?
No, because magic is completely outlawed in this world, and we did not even think once to maybe take advantage of it here and there. Nope.
Anyways, the Infernis also tap into the cell phone tower before shutting it down to go know where they are somehow. So they go to the gas station. Mind you, at this point, I thought that the gas station owner was calling the police because, there's a strange orc who bought medical goods is hanging in my freaking bathroom for much longer than he should. Can you come investigate? That's why I thought the sheriff came. Did he call the sheriff? I'm like, oh, wait. That wouldn't make sense. If he doesn't operate under LAPD, why would the sheriff show up here? Why would he respond to this gas store owner's call if he did call, which we don't know if he did?
Yeah, no, it was one of those cases where Ward, despite the fact that he did not follow the laws of a fugitive, he kept his cell phone and he called Ramirez to meet them there. What the shop owner was calling about was the deputy getting shot and then the speeding car with a gunman heading towards his store. But the moment he made that...
Wait, did Will Smith call for the deputy?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it was a throwaway line, but
it must have been throwaway, because I'm like, what the fuck? why is he here?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all it's been. This movie, like, a lot of it has just been nothing but throwaway lines. And
like, really important plot shit is throwaway lines, and the stuff that should be explained is never fucking explained.
yeah, but, you know, that's when you get a, you know, arguably kind of cool, like, fight scene that quickly turns stupid because you have like two of the Infernis outside and they're trying to catch Tika and kill Will Smith. And then you have one of them in a car who's like ramming Jacoby into a refrigerator and like repeatedly slamming him over and over again. And I get it, they set up early in the movie and even during one of the fights with Poison's gang that orcs are very strong. But, I mean, if they can...
I mean, okay, look, if they're sturdy, sure, right?
Yeah.
But, like, he gets basically hit with a car twice in the scene.
Yeah.
By the same car.
Yeah.
And he's smashed into a refrigerator. And like, he's not skewered by any of the steel in the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it would be aluminum to be exact, so I wouldn't probably puncture, but it would still hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And then we have Will Smith like hiding behind, you know, tin metal fucking convenience store fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
Tin metal, by the way, is not bulletproof, in case anyone had doubts.
No, and even like 20% of the time, the back of those stalls are wooden anyway. The back of those shelves.
Yeah. So, you know, absolutely could puncture through, no problem, but it doesn't for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So we've seen these assassins able to kill with absolute efficiency and accuracy, and they're having so much trouble fully armed to the teeth to unarm the people. Will Smith's got a fucking 357 Magnum that he stole from the store owner that gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he doesn't know that store owner has more ammo in that chamber. Mm-hmm. But somehow he's able to reload the gun during the middle of the fight. Like, where did you get the other shells?
Yeah.
I thought you would have 6 shots and that's it. Because that's all the store owner had.
And you were over the counter, too. You weren't in the counter. I could understand if...
He's nowhere near the counter. Where did he get those shells?
Yeah. Like, he's near the store owner's dead body, but the store owner's dead body fell over the counter. So it would make sense if he was in the counter so he could look around and he says, oh, look, there's a box of bullets there. But no, he's over the counter. He empties the gun and somehow is able to reload it. It's like, where did those bullets come from?
He only had one bullet.
Yeah.
He didn't load the whole gun. He just had one bullet and he put it in and he fired it on basically, like WD-40.
Yeah.
Which sets off a fiery explosion. Which, mind you, these cans are made to not explode.
Yeah.
Because there's no air inside these cans. Even though even though the gas inside WD-40 is flammable, the can is made to not have air or oxygen inside it so that it could never combust from the inside out.
So even by puncturing the can, if it does blow up...
You would not set it out because there would not be enough air outside to reach the can to ever ignite.
Okay, never mind, because what I was going to say is if you shoot one can, it might blow up, but setting the entire aisle ablaze probably wouldn't happen. Definitely wouldn't. Yeah.
So, like, that's what I'm like, what? WD-40 is designed to not do that.
Mind you, I did say earlier that this was a cool scene that quickly turned stupid with the many things me and you have pointed out. But if there's one thing that made me laugh, even though it was supposed to be scary, was having, like, Layla on top of the hood of the car firing a gun while the driver is, like, carefully driving his car in between the aisles. And then they blow up the cans in the aisle, which should have just, like, blown off, at least horribly burnt the male driver's face off. But no, they just have a scene where, like, Layla is, like, just waiting for one of her cohorts patiently to set the fire off, and then you see the fucking driver chase him out with the car on fire while he's still on fire, and he, like, knocks down the gas pumps, blowing them up, and you see him walk out completely unscathed, taking off his jacket, which seems to be the only thing that burnt.
Look, man. Just that whole scene was so claustrophobic for no good reason.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, why do you want to have an action-y fight scene in such a small space that we don't even know what's happening because of all these extreme close-ups?
Yeah.
Because there's no space to put any of the equipment in this tiny, tiny room.
Yeah. It is... there was a time where I went to a comic book shop and they had to film in there, and you could just see the amount of equipment and stuff they have to bring in where it is amazing. Where the only reason you do see scenes like this is because they had to build an entirely different set. If this was an actual active gas station, which might have been, who fucking knows, it definitely...
I mean, with that budget, it could have been. And I don't know where all that money went.
Yeah. Well,
District 9 looks so much better with fucking a fourth of that fucking money.
Yeah, it's only now, like 10 years later, is District 9 finally looking dated, but it's still like... No, it still holds up more than a lot of movies coming out today.
To this day, District 9 is not, like, in my top 10 favorite movies.
Yeah.
But what it is, though, is in my top 10 most, like, the best efficient use of money I've ever seen.
Yeah, we're talking about $40 million, people. This is 50 to 60 cheaper than Bright.
Yeah, and it has full seats. It has a fucking Metal Gear that looks good, that performs cool. It's got crazy alien technology. It has rules that it follows the entire way through. Let's start with that.
Because it didn't try to bite off more than it can chew. It didn't set up all these ridiculous things, but then remember that it also wanted to be a racial allegory.
Yeah, it showed the racial politics between the aliens and people. It explained the reasoning behind them. It showed the corruption. It showed everything we needed to know about the prawns.
Yeah.
And like, it's very clear to me, Bright wanted to be a District 9, but with, like, fairy tale shit.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like District 9 that, like, all the orcs, like, live in their own, like neighborhood, and all the elves live in this neighborhood, and humans kind of live in the mixture of both. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
The movie doesn't tell us, but, like, they're trying to push out that the cultures are segregated based on class and economic status and what have you. And, you know, it's trying to push that, you know, racial tension and blah, 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 and, like, you know, the police want the help, but they're not really, like, the good guys. Like, there's a lot of aspects that District 9 just does that this movie looks like it was trying to do in a different way, and it just doesn't do it.
Yeah, and where are we now? Oh, right, we're in this scene. Yeah, it definitely...
We're still in the gas station.
Yeah, so they escape the gas station, but what almost immediately happens to them next is they are apprehended by the I think they were called, like, the Hogtooth gang. That's what they called the freaking, the gang of orcs that was wandering around. And they get...
Wait, really? They had a name?
Yeah.
I didn't get their name.
Oh, it's, again, thrown out, a throwaway line. Yeah. It was mentioned when Will Smith and Jacoby were taking the crazy homeless man back, and Officer Ramirez tells him, "Oh, be careful, I heard the Hogtooths are being very active lately."
That one fucking throwaway line of, like, oh yeah, by the way, they're going around fucking people.
Yeah. Yeah, they're acting like it's 1995, which, you know, it's kind of a funny line. That was actually kind of a funny line. But what ends up happening is, if any of you guys have seen that movie Training Day, it is basically you get this sit down with a guy who is really giving a decent enough performance, where he explains, look, I'm not from here. I'm from Miami. Back there, we had really great orc communities. We would have block parties with dwarves, humans, orcs, whatnot. I wasn't even, like, a gang leader there. I was a bus driver. It wasn't until I come here that I saw how segregated we were, how horrible we're being treated. So I put together my own syndicate, and every month we bring people there, elves, humans, orcs, whatever. We feed them, we get some beer, and then we just party and have a good time. My only law is no guns. Everything else is okay, but absolutely no guns. And to my surprise, after months of doing this, the first people to bring in guns into my club are fucking cops. Which is, mind you, to me, it was kind of a really cool and threatening scene. But then you start having them... They start wanting to now juggle the legacy of Jirok and how Jacoby isn't blooded and stuff like that, while still trying to cram in these stupid racially powered lines. Like, for one example, there's a line where it's like, yeah, you're not blooded, you're a traitor. And I bet this guy right here is happy to say, oh, he has an orc friend. I'm like, where did that come in? Was that the appropriate line to throw in a line like that? An appropriate time to throw in a line like that? What the frick? Like,
I don't know.
I felt, okay, like, in all honesty, I felt that this could have been, and in some aspect could have been one of the better and arguably best scenes in the movie because of how well written it is, how well written it seems to be most of the time, how well the performances from, Will Smith and Jacoby are, the whole scene where it's them lightly recognizing the fact that Jacoby could have been blooded if it wasn't for the fact that he broke the rules. But if you've seen Training Day, there's a scene where they have Jacoby and Will Smith over a bottomless pit, and they're going to kill him. And he says, "Oh, I'm going to bring my son to kill him so he can earn his horns." And the son's like, "No, father, I will not kill him because he is the man who saved me." And you find out that Jacoby's story of letting a kid go because he was not the orc they were looking for was true. But unlike Training Day, where the gangbangers let Ethan Hawke go for protecting his daughter or protecting his niece, the orcs are like, "Oh, okay, I won't let you kill him, but I'm still going to kill him anyway." So we can have this scene where Tika brings Jacoby back to life, and now the orcs are treating it like the second coming of Christ, even though they saw a Bright clearly bring him back to life.
Yeah, so I'm with you that the scene has, like, the most, like, universe building, and it's all from one conversation.
Yeah.
And the funny part about it, like you said, it's just like, you would expect, oh, you saved my son. For that, I will grant you mercy for now, right? But
yeah.
You will have to do stuff for me in exchange for your punishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was expecting that they wouldn't kill him, but there's like, all right, you're going to have to work for me for a bit because someone's got to pay and be made of an example because this is the first time this has happened. I'm not going to let it go.
Yeah.
Like, I would expect that he would be that kind of a reason, right?
Yeah, well, going back to
and then he just grabs the fucking, I know the name of that sniper rifle, the L700?
Oh, I wouldn't know. It just looked like a regular hunting rifle to me.
But anyways, he gets his hunting rifle and he just fucking shoots him straight in the thing, like, in the chest, and he falls over.
Yeah, and...
So at some point, the prophecy this whole movie's been saying is that an orc will rise and lead their people again. A toothless orc, just like Jirok. Even though earlier in the movie it says Jirok still lives, so why aren't people going to go look for him?
Yeah.
Anyways,
No. You know how it is. It's propaganda like oh, Michael Jackson lives, oh, the king lives forever. It's stuff like that. It's not literal. Jirok isn't literally alive. It's just, orc propaganda.
Well, like, to me, I took it, like, the same way of, like, Fallout New Vegas. When they write the burnt man walks on the walls in one DLC, it was foreshadowing that Jonathan Graham still lived.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was trying to, like, attributing to that, like, the guy that everyone knows should be dead, because, you know, they set him on fire and threw him off the cliff in the Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he fucking lived. He lived through that. Man literally too angry to die.
Yeah, but we're also talking about it because we don't really know the lifespans of orcs. It's believed that they're as long as humans, maybe even longer. But
we also don't know what's the lifespan of a Bright. It looks like they're fucking old as shit because they remember the Dark Lord and everything. It sounds like the elf lady was there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Elves have always been either really, really long-living or elves have been immortal. I mean, like Lord of the Rings, an elf is immortal until they decide to throw away the immortality for the sake of a human. But, you know, it all spans into this. The world was not properly built, and yeah, due to the fact that what's her name, Tika resurrected Jacoby, that now Jacoby is the reincarnation of Jirok, which I'm pretty sure, due to a throwaway line that Jacoby mentioned later on, that his father was unblooded, his uncle was unblooded, and so on and so forth. I'm pretty sure there is going to be a Crody Fingers twist where Jacoby is a descendant of Jirok. Because it can only make sense with that throwaway line.
Oh, that's why he has no family. He was born under Jirok and he was hidden away from his family because by birthright, he used to follow his father's footsteps, but they must hide him from the world so that no one will find him and like corrupt him. Or
No. I'm saying it's believed that Jirok's Jacoby's family is just the bloodline of Jirok.
No, okay, but they say that he has no family and he has no clan, or it's not clear what he has.
What they meant though, and again, like you said, not clear. It is said that yes, he did have a dad. He did have literal family, but when they mean he doesn't have family, it means he doesn't have the backing of the entire orc clan. Like these guys are basically these guys are almost very close to like Native Americans with the way how they kind of see the society and clan. You know, like a clan is family, and I think, you know, given all the fantasy stuff, yeah. But anyway,
never explicitly freaking set in stone what he's trying to say with that.
Yeah, not dwindling for too long. In the original script, though, and I like this version better, even if it is a direct ripoff of Training Day. The dad is like, wait, you want me to let these guys go? They mock us. And he's like, come on, he saved my life. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And it's all like, okay. So without a word, the orc leader just walks up to Jacoby in the script and says, what did you call me earlier? Stupid? And he just starts beating the fuck out of him and broke his leg and beat him to death. And then in the next scene described, they take him out of a chunk and throw him on the street, showing that, yeah, the orc leader took mercy, but he still beat the fuck out of them for, you know, talking all that shit earlier and doing what they did earlier. So it's that scene it was that thing you were talking about where he let them go, but he still made them pay. And Tika, that whole scene, instead of Tika resurrecting Jacoby, it's Tika using a little bit of the powers that she does know she has to not completely heal him, but just leave him with a fractured leg and a few wounds that didn't cover up properly. Which makes sense later on in the movie, but we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Go for it.
Oh, okay. So nothing to say about that?
No, let's just move on.
So, yeah. So, Tika finally reveals that she can speak English because she can trust them now, despite the fact that they proved themselves over and over again before that point that she can trust them, because they did nothing but keep her safe the whole time.
I'm just like, wait a minute. What did they do in the past 5 minutes that made you trust them?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you already trusted them enough to follow their every move.
Yeah.
You at no point trying to escape from them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
Yeah. You gave them no reason to be, nervous. They gave you no reason to be nervous as you were traveling with them, blah, blah, blah. But what ends up happening is, due to the fact that she used too much power and she was not fully accustomed to the wand, she starts getting, like, black veins oozing all over her body, and she starts coughing up blood. And that's when they say, the Shield of Light has this healing tree that I need to go into in order to keep me from dying. So that's when we have them going full circle. They spent all that time escaping from that compound only to go back to the compound for the final fight. And, not much to say there, except it's a really clumsily shot fight. It's even more claustrophobic than the gas station, and there's a lot of close-up shots and very, wonky camera angles and just some things that don't make sense. Like when Tika tries to shoot Layla with the wand, it doesn't kill her, but it, has her recover from a shotgun wound. Weird, stupid stuff like that. I had already tapped out of this movie to the point where I couldn't even find the cell phone C4 kill cool.
The cell phone C4 cool was wait a minute.
How do you have the number for that?
That's what I was gonna say. Okay, so an IED that's triggered by a cell phone, you have to know the number to call that cell phone that's attached to the IED.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm like, Will Smith, how do you have the cell phone number? Wait, is that just a button, or did you call it?
Yeah, and then he makes a stupid comment too, where it's see, like I said, you never know, swipe left. And I'm like, did you open up Tinder and add that thing on Tinder?
Yeah, he swiped left and it caused her to blow the hell up. He gave her the biggest explosion.
Yeah, it is, God, it was so...
It's surprisingly the only scene in the movie that's actually gruesome.
Yeah.
No other point in the movie is it gruesome.
Oh, but Daniel, they killed a baby off screen. Oh, lordy.
Well, they only did that to show the bad guys evil. They kill baby, I guess.
Yeah, the bad guys evil. They killed family that I still don't know what importance they had to the plot.
They didn't. They were just trying to show, you saw us do the thing. You cannot be left to leave alive.
Yeah. Ooba. But yeah, that cell phone kill part, and then they kill Layla, but the wand brings her back to life somehow because Tika healed her with a wand. But this is where the initial original script for what happened in the orc, in the orc hideout kicks in. You have that scene where Will Smith is thrown across the floor, and Jacoby shoots the wand out of Layla's hand. But then you have that really weird line delivery where it just sounds like Joel Edgerton is done with the movie already, where it's like, oh, I'm out of ammo. It almost felt like, oh, I'm out of ammo. Sorry, bro, you're on your own for this. I mean, it would make sense in the original script because Jacoby is moving on a fractured leg and a body that is not properly healed. So it makes sense why he would act like that. But we're talking about a guy who just got fully resurrected and did not get beaten up all that bad during the fight.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Jacoby gets strangled and tossed down and choked and basically hung from a noose for a few minutes.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about that.
Well, the reason you forgot about that is because of how stupid that is.
Yeah.
So, number one, she came with a wire in her hand already and put it around his neck. Okay. It sounded like she was just going to choke him right there and there. No.
Yeah.
Apparently, this she somehow grabbed it from in front of him, because it was attached to the ceiling. He grabbed it from in front of him, well, nobody noticing, put it around his neck, tied it into a tiny knot, and then tossed him out, and that knot was able to hold the weight of him, but couldn't withstand him trying to untie the knot with his hand. So, I don't know how the hell that works in physics, that, like, his neck didn't just snap from the whole weight of his body on his neck. But we'll go past that, because anyone that can tell you the actual physics of a hanging, you don't die from the suffocation, you die from your neck snapping from the fall.
I thought I'd never see the day where the most realistic movie hanging death would be in the Disney Tarzan movie.
But yeah, if anyone tells you you're dying from the suffocation from that, they're fucking liars.
Yeah.
Like, you die from your neck snapping.
Yeah.
And then it just being around your neck is just, it's just a fucking, like, what would you call it? A novelty at that point?
Yeah, yeah. It's just, hey, we want to have a scene where we're swinging Joel Edgerton on a noose, so fuck it, let's do it.
So yes, you're right. He felt like $1 million, right? But he was choked out for several minutes, and he's completely out of breath.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense, but, you know.
Will Smith, he's trying to crawl to her with a fucking screwdriver. I'm guessing he wants to give her the big stabby stab with a screwdriver, but suddenly wand. I'm like, okay, let me grab this wand. Oh, mind you, by the way, at some point, somebody's leg was cut with a knife, but at no point do we see anyone having any trouble walking in this.
Oh yeah. It was Jacoby. Yeah.
It was Jacoby. Well, at no point did he have trouble walking or running out of the building when it's on fire. But fuck me, because you know the tendon that lets you walk on your legs has been cut. Anyways, Will Smith picks up the wand, and at no point does the lady try and stop him, even though it's her wand. At no point does the lady ever try and, force power the wand back to her hand like she did literally minutes ago.
Yeah, or like tackle him because he's holding the wand and has no idea what to do with it.
Yeah, there's so much time for her to do something about it, and at no point does she do anything, and it's almost hilarious, because, like, you're just waiting there. Okay, next order of business. That I had trouble with in that scene.
What's up?
Ika tells him the word to say to activate the wand, but at no point earlier in the movie was a word said to make the wand fire.
The only other time a word was used was when she brought Jacoby back, but every time, like, we would see a wand fire, it was always wordlessly. That point where but Tika was freaking out and they were wrestling her, she did not yell a word and then the wand fired.
It just fucking fired on its own.
Yeah.
So, like, at no point is it established that you need to know words to use it. They just said, oh, it's a magic wand. Whatever you want to happen, it will do it.
Yeah. That's right. And I don't know if maybe that was just public ignorance or like, oh, it's a magic wand. If I say, hey, give me $1 million, it'll give me $1 million. But it really does seem like they're trying to say, no, you need specific words, you need, blah, blah, blah. I would have just liked if it was like a trade of all things, because then it could be fun and they could be making some weird stuff happen.
Look, at every point in this movie, I'm like, is Will Smith gonna fight Voldemort? They keep mentioning the Dark Lord.
Dude! Oh, God, sorry, I swallowed saliva. Sorry. That's the thing, I can't... This is the thing that's getting me mad. I have a feeling that if Max Landis wanted to tell a grand fantasy adventure, he should have told the story of Jirok. Because the fact that they are setting it in modern day, I just think it'll be kind of silly that the big final battle will be Will Smith with a wand having a Harry Potter-style wand battle in modern day LA. It's... God, this movie.
The best way I can explain Bright to somebody, it's as if somebody took the season finale for a TV show and made it a whole movie, but didn't give you anything of the context of the entire season of the show.
Yeah, and it's very similar to a movie called Kin that came out about 2 years ago about a kid who finds
Alien thingy?
yeah, thank you. He finds an alien weapon and begins to use it and finds out that he's the only one that can operate it for some reason. And it felt like a really kick-ass... It was a really kick-ass story for what should have been a pilot of a TV show and not an hour-and-a-half movie where nothing happens until the last 20 minutes. Like, this is what Bright's problem was, except you're right. It doesn't feel like a pilot. It feels like the season finale.
It feels like a season finale, because the movie at every point expects you to know these people when we've just met them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just such a tone of characters talking to one another, like you've known them for a bit, and you already know what they're about, and at no point should you ever have that knowledge, but the movie just treats it like, no, you know what's happening, let's keep going.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, you know what, Netflix, maybe instead of a big budget TV movie, because I know you wanted that commodity, maybe you should have just made it into a TV show. I mean, if you look at the recent season of Stranger Things, that looks like a $120 million TV show with how good the special effects are in that show. Like, I do not see any problem of you not being able to turn this into a movie, except for maybe the fact you wouldn't have Will Smith, because for some reason the dude doesn't do TV anymore. Like, name the last TV show that Will Smith was on that isn't the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Look, man, Will Smith was the Fresh Prince of L.A. in this movie.
Yeah. Well, he's always the Fresh Prince. Like, you know, thank you for reminding me. I need to, after this, I'm probably going to rent Spies in Disguise, because I hear he's basically the Fresh Prince in that movie, too.
Oh, dude.
He never stops being the Fresh Prince.
Seeing Will Smith as a fucking pigeon is amazing.
I still like Will Smith as a fish.
I'm just saying, like, Spies in Disguise is a like sleeper hit, I feel.
Yeah, I need to watch it. I keep hearing that.
It's so charming. It's such a charming kids movie. I would be hard pressed to hear you not say, no, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say something about a movie I just saw like 2 weeks ago, but let's finish this up because we're in like the last 10 minutes of the movie. So
go for it. Continue a song.
So they, you know, Will Smith uses the magic word and blows like, not just cooks Layla like the guys in the beginning of the movie. Yeah.
Disintegrates her.
She disintegrates, but also blows up, causing the entire building to just fucking explode. And
which is also very strange that the entire building around them explodes, not where they are.
Yeah. I have a feeling that would have been a really contained explosion given how big that room was.
Because I also want to remind everyone that was paying attention, there is Claymore's grenades and C4 in that whole building.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't go off when the fire is raging.
Well, it could be argued that they went off and that's what caused the explosion, but...
If they went off, they'd be fucking dead.
Oh, okay, never mind. Then it is just asinine movie directing.
If they went off, let's say this room is underneath their HQ.
Mm-hmm.
If they went off, all the rubble from the top of the building would come down on them and they'd be buried alive.
Oh yeah, no, they'd be dead.
If they were right next to them, the entire fucking room would have blown over and they would not have been escaped. Like, you need to remember, C4 levels everything, and they had a stockpile of it there.
Yeah, you're right. Why am I forgetting that when one of my favorite movies last year was fucking Overlord?
Yeah, C4 blows up the whole building, because that's what C4 does.
Yeah, buried an entire, like, underground lab system, too. Like, it's that fucking effective.
Yes! They put C4 on all the structural points in that underground lab, and it leveled it to the ground. Now, you expect me some slum house that's been degrading for years is gonna withstand C4? A public area? Not even an armored fucking underground facility? No, just some fucking house somewhere.
Yeah. See, people, this is why... this is why I am not the gun expert of the two.
I'm not even a gun expert. I just know how physics work when it comes to shit.
Yeah. I am not a physics major. I am a college dropout. But anyway.
In either case, C4 goes boom. They have claymores, grenades, C4, ammunition. All of that goes off and fire.
Yeah.
All of it. All the bullets would fire off everywhere. They would just start like fucking shooting everywhere.
Yeah, but no, Daniel, we need to have extremely heartfelt scene where Jacoby runs back into the burning building with Will Smith.
Okay. Will Smith has his hand on Jacoby's back as they're running. They're literally running side by side. He can feel his arm on his back, and then somehow he falls down and is buried in rubble in a fucking jail cell. That wasn't where they ran through.
Something.
I'm like, where did you go, Will Smith? You were right behind us the whole time. No instructions.
Something tells me, honestly, something tells me there was a cutout final, maybe 2-minute scene where one of the elves was still alive and grabbed Will Smith, and there was like a small 2-minute fight that they had to cut out of the movie. Because you're right.
They don't have 2 minutes. The whole building's on fire. The oxygen in that building is gone.
That's what I mean. Like, it seemed like there was a scene that they cut out because they realized how stupid and like far-fetched it was compared. The whole movie is kind of gearing you up for that anyway, and it is just like how not only is he, you know, Jacoby did not feel his hand like leave his body, but he also seemed to have moved several feet from where he collapsed. That's why I'm saying that had to have been like a cut fight that we didn't see because they knew that it was stupid and unnecessary.
I mean, they kind of ran out of assassins to fight. I don't even know where they would get one.
No, that's why I'm saying, like, one of them could have been alive because the one... I think the bald guy was impaled. I don't think...
The bald guy got his head blown off by the shotgun.
Oh, right. Why did I get that confused? Oh, yeah, no, then there definitely was a, like, oh, wait, you know what?
Lady was obliterated.
Yeah.
Dude's head's fucking gone. they ain't coming back.
Yeah, you're right. That was on my goof. But yeah, so maybe there wasn't a fight. It's just once again David Ayer for some reason just can't do big budget movies, or he can't do a big budget movie where he's not directly in control of everything because you know, we've been pointing out problems with this movie all day for about 2.5 hours, I think. And we could still think of more. Like, I mean, still, you know, like moving from that scene where they rescue each other, where they like go out of the fire, and given they actually kind of have a funny scene where they're like, man, magic sucks, and it's like, I don't know, I still think it's kind of cool. Well, don't think this doesn't make us friends. Yeah, whatever. It's not like I would have liked your ass anyway. And then
that scene was the only genuine comedy moment.
Yeah.
Because it was fitting, it was thematically appropriate, and it's something I would expect them to absolutely do based on their chemistry with one another.
Yeah, yeah.
When Jacoby is like, you know what, I didn't like you anyway. Like, I thought that was the perfect fucking, like, rebuttal. I'm like, that's funny, that's silly, I like it.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you did one good joke with you guys being buddy cops.
Yeah, and then at that moment, too, like, Jacoby gets blooded by the orcs who, you know, tried to kill him. Which is so dumb, because it's like, what were you doing there? Like, like, were you just, like, following them?
They just followed them. They just knew where they were. They knew where they were going. Even though they were driving somewhere else before they got there. They decided to go there after they were driving for a bit away in another direction.
Yeah, it is just so...
They didn't know where they were going.
Yeah, it is just, again, really dumb. I get it. They wanted to have a scene where, like, Jacoby is now associated as an orc, but it's like, you couldn't have done this in a more natural way, because it really is like, where the fuck did you guys come from? Were you going back? Were you looking for them so you could just kill them again? Oh, man, what the fuck? I don't know. So anyway, they wake up in the hospital. Well, a hospital owned by the...
A hospital, fucking armed guard.
Yeah.
And they're in full hazmat suits, by the way, the nurses.
Yeah.
Like, that was the one weird thing I found. Like, they're in full hazmat suits. Like, that they know that he did the thing.
Yeah, and, so, and this is what me and you were talking about earlier, what you pointed out with Jacoby, is we just sat through, like an hour and 40 minutes of movie, and now the movie thought, oh, you know what would be funny is if we have Jacoby tell the exact events of the movie in like painful detail as a joke. Like, wouldn't that be funny?
Through it as a joke in front of the feds. Yeah,
and I mean, I get it. They wanted to have a... I kind of liked the payoff though, where it's just like, we went in there, we responded to a call, there was gunfire, and that is all. And they're like, is that it? Yup. Okay, you can go. Like, okay, I thought that was funny, but I just sat through a 40-minute movie that I didn't even really like anyway, and I'm waiting for it to end, and now the movie thinks, oh, we're gonna hold you for like another 5 minutes so we can just like tell you the...
Remember all the dumb shit you just saw? We're gonna recount it right now for 5 minutes in a scene that's way too long for its own good.
Yeah. So, you know, Will Smith tells them what they want to hear, which, again, you know, was kind of funny, but I was already too annoyed by this point. And they get honored as heroes. Sadly, though, the corrupted cops and police chiefs were also honored as heroes, but, oh well, what can you do? And Will Smith, one thing we didn't realize, though, is that it was believed that Tika died in the explosion, but we see that Will Smith is looking out in the crowd, and you see Tika wandering in the crowd. And the movie ends with a fairy flying at the camera, because why the fuck not?
Remember the ferry we saw? Look, we spent money on this ferry. We're going to use it again. Why? You spent like $3 on it. It looks fucking awful.
Yeah, you didn't do anything interesting with it except, you know, be completely mean to Black Lives Matter.
I literally was expecting ferries to like just show up and be vermin in the background all the time throughout the movie, and at no point did they fucking show up again. So
no.
Why? And then they just put it in that scene. I'm like, why?
Yeah, you should have just done what, even though it still bothered me, you should have done what they did in Onward and just turned the freaking unicorns into pigeons. And raccoons.
Yeah, you know.
But
something that was great in that movie, but it's also not used, like, past that.
Yeah, so, yeah, Bright, of course... I want to just run through little things, so only take a few more seconds. Overall... Bright is a mess. There's no denying about it. There was a lot that Netflix had riding on this, and understandably, the critics hated it. They did not like it, and the one thing that pissed me off about the whole situation is the audience, though, Daniel, in case you didn't know, fucking loved this movie. This is one of those cases where it's like a 28 on Rotten Tomatoes and like a 70 or an 80 audience-wise. And you want to know the audience's reason for why the critic score is so low? Because movie studios are paying the critics to give this movie a bad review, so it doesn't prove that a big budget straight to streaming movie can be successful.
I hate it.
Isn't it?
Everything you just said.
Yeah, it's unbelievably stupid. Like, look, people, if you want to,
this
if
movie can absolutely be good.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be good.
Yeah.
But But, like,
and
you know, you didn't give me the most enthusiastic reaction when you saw it.
But,
and then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll see it later when I'm bored, and I never got around to it, because it was never, like, brought up that it was something you had to see, ever.
Yeah, but I kept pushing it because I always wanted to do this. Like, what we're doing today has been planned since the movie came out. Like, I've been pushing to do this for a while, but then it's like, no, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this. But, you know, like, it sucks that it took this lockdown to finally just tell me, okay, Danny, I think this is going to be the perfect time for you and Daniel to do this. But it's one of those cases where it was a movie I was really excited for because I'm like, wow, this looks interesting. And, you know, they may have not gotten you the way they got me, but the trailers were really cool. And when the movie comes out, it's like, okay, I feel like this would have worked if, one, you stuck to the lore a little bit better, and two, you didn't try to force push a freaking social commentary message that you are not mature enough to put in there. Like, this is in the original Max Landis script, and I even feel that David Ayer actually, like, toned it down a bit. And that's saying something because it still feels completely immature in the movie.
It's just like, I'm glad I took this long to see it, because I've seen so many other movies in the time it's been out that just do what it does better.
Yeah. I mean, I heard the movie wasn't that good, but people are comparing this to, like, a movie called Alienation that is about aliens integrating into everyday society. And I almost kind of want to see if maybe it did it better, even if I hear that that movie isn't perfect. But, you know, it's got to be better than this.
Which movie? You cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. The movie's called Alienation.
Alienation. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know how old the movie is, but it was like a TV show and all that. But, you know, it's one of those cases where it's like you said, there's a good movie in here somewhere. There's a lot of really good things to like about it. Me and you were not ignoring the good things about it. We were pointing out things that we liked, pointing out things that they did well. But
like, we didn't ignore what they did well, because we can both acknowledge there is a good fucking trilogy that can be made out of this fucking movie.
Yeah.
What we are saying is that it's kind of hard to appreciate those things when so much of the movie makes you want to believe it, that it's to take it seriously, when there's just so much silliness happening.
Yeah. Like,
this movie would be greatly benefiting from a much darker tone and a much more serious and gritty cop story.
Yeah, well, I think maybe one day, I'm not going to force it anytime soon, but maybe one day we should watch End of Watch, and you could kind of see that if he had just moved the tone of that movie and then put it in this, it probably would have been a better film. Like, he has made a darker cops on the beaten path story before, but I don't know, maybe he thought, oh, well, it's a fantasy movie, so I should try to make it funny.
This needed to be a cops going down the beaten path story, because it still doesn't justify enough that Will Smith would gun down his fellow officers, even if they knew they were up to no good. Because he did not know they were going to kill him.
Yeah.
He did not know that. The plot armor told him that he had to shoot them.
Yeah.
Like, it should have been, like, there was enough buildup in the movie that he's like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, like if anything, we get it, he did it to protect Jacoby, but that could easily have just been like, oh, okay, if you're telling me the truth, get in the car because we have to get the fuck out of here right now. But no, they wanted to have that scene where he shoots down the cops and then Poison and his gang show up, because if they were to immediately leave without killing the cops, then we would not have Poison's gang. Like,
because, you know, oh, I heard cops are killing each other, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would be like, well, they wouldn't know how to find them now except, you know, following the police, but that might be difficult. It's just, you know, as much as we did say Poison, oddly enough, was the most fleshed out character in this movie, the movie didn't need him, you know?
It doesn't need him, And that's what makes it even more baffling. Why does he have a motivation and everything, and everyone can understand and like relate to at least in the bare minimum level of like, oh, you're not being a unruly asshole because you feel like, aha, I must be much trash-swirling villain. It's like, no, bitch, you have something that can fix me. I want it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not going to be my only opportunity, and I'm going to do everything to do it because I'm never going to see a wand in my life again.
Yeah.
Like, because that's how rare they are. Like, it makes complete sense that he would dump everything he had to go get that.
Mm-hmm.
And at no point does any other character have that same gravitas.
No, and then when they do, the mustache-controlling villains, like, haha, we're going to resurrect the Dark Lord.
Haha, I killed a baby off screen.
Yeah.
I'm a mustache-twirling villain.
Yeah, I'm evil, haha. Yeah, no, it really angers me, and it's one of those cases, too, I'm probably not doing it anytime soon, but it's one of those cases, too, where I saw something so bad that wasted so much potential that I'm like, I'm gonna rip you off and make what I hope will be a better story than this hogwash. Because I have an idea, but it's like...
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm just like, look, guys, all I wanted was Shadowrun the movie.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not it, and I don't think it's coming anytime soon.
No. And I'm pretty sure somewhere there's someone marketing Shadowrun the movie and is now cursing this movie to its grave because it ruined any chance they had. Yeah. So anyway, guys, that was Bright. It was Netflix's bold experiment, and given it would open the door to some legitimately good Netflix movies and Netflix TV shows. If it wasn't for the fact that this came out after it had already been announced, I would have thanked Bright for existing, because that meant it eventually led to the creation of Dark Crystal, but that had been announced way before Bright was released. But it had its goal. It wanted to reach it. And it did to an extent. It's one of the most viewed things on Netflix, but similar to a lot of movies, it did well financially, it just sucked critically. And, if a sequel does come out, open the movie up with, like, a flashback 2,000 years ago, and according to the filming date that we were supposed to have, we were going to get that, because there was mentions of the war happening in Germany, and production was going to start filming in Germany first, which was interesting. But due to how,
no, we spent all the budget on Will Smith.
Yeah, no, and also one of the problems why because the movie was supposed to go in production last year, like in March of last year.
I'm pretty sure they couldn't get Will Smith.
They couldn't get him back. No, the actress of Tika said we couldn't get him back, so we have to wait. That's what's taking the movie so long.
That's my biggest... I think Will Smith is the biggest detriment to the movie. Like, he doesn't need to be Will Smith.
Yeah. And mind you, we've been calling Joel Edgerton by his character's name, but Will Smith has been Will Smith. Yeah. We've only mentioned his in-world name twice.
Because fucking Jacoby is an actual character. Will Smith's just Will Smith. You don't need Will Smith in this movie.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, you know what? I would be okay with just the idea of recasting him with another character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
But
But then people are gonna be like, oh, this is I don't know.
Well, you know what?
What way don't spin it?
Look. I'm gonna share something right now. Due to the fact, there's a reason why I did not see Spies of Disguise and why I'm taking so long to watch it, is because thanks to this movie and a few other little films in between this and Aladdin, I am officially done with Will Smith. He does not act anymore. He's only doing Will Smith. I find him a complete waste of potential of a character every time they bring him in a movie, because this could be a character, but he is only doing Will Smith. that is why I am so fucking done with this. I'm so fucking done with this actor that I have been taking my sweet time watching Spies in Disguise because I am just sick of this actor.
Well, here's the one thing I will say. What you say is true when it's live action.
Yeah.
Him as a voice actor, fucking excellent.
Well, fine. Maybe he needs to go down the Mark Hamill path and just become a voice actor.
I honestly think Will Smith is a fantastic voice actor and a shit actor.
Yeah. I mean, he has the charisma, but the thing is that you have your charisma, you don't give the charisma to a character.
Well, but that's the thing. When you animate Will Smith's voice, the character then takes on his own version of Will Smith. It's good. It works in Spies in Disguise.
Yeah, no, but that's why, like, he's not a shit actor. It's just he no longer finds the reason to try anymore. It's like Bruce Willis.
Okay, let's be real. He's not a bad actor. He's just bad at being any other actor than himself.
Yeah. What was I going to say? He's like Bruce Willis, basically. Like, Bruce Willis stopped acting.
Only play die-hard protagonist.
Yeah. Even if he...
And it's not to say that protagonist is bad. No, that protagonist is great. It's just seeing the same thing in every movie he's in. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, but, like, I still want you to watch Unbreakable one day, and you're going to see how amazing he is in that movie, and then you'll remember how he was in Glass.
That he given up.
Yeah, like he was flat out like, why am I acting? Oh, right, I like money.
All right, I like money.
Yeah.
Just this pool of water.
Yeah. So, anyway, that was Bright. I think we've given enough opinions to know that the rating is not going to be flattering.
It wasn't very bright, indeed.
Yeah. Ho, 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 ho. So anyway, guys, that's our show. I hope you enjoyed our complete tear apart of the 2017 Netflix film Bright.
Terribly old movie from Netflix.
Yeah. It's only 3 years old.
And Netflix years, that's like dog years.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because, with a streaming service where content is made, like, literally week by week at this point, like, that's lifetime.
Yeah. Bright, what the fuck is that? It's all about...
It's probably buried in algorithms, let's be real.
Yeah. Well, it is. I actually completely forgot that they had it until it popped up. I forgot what movie I was watching, but it popped up in my, we also recommend this movie. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot. This movie was on Netflix.
I mean, when you told me to watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, where was it on? I think it was Netflix. Is it on Netflix? Oh yes, it is. Okay, cool.
Yeah. My dad works by Netflix headquarters, and he said that just in front of his work was a giant poster for Bright. So that's why he went home and watched it. And ended up liking it because my dad just has a hard-on for that director. He doesn't know who the director is, but we're talking about a guy who loves Training Day, loves Fury, loves Sabotage, loves End of Watch, loves fucking Suicide Squad. I mean...
He doesn't know the director, but he certainly likes all his movies.
Yeah. It's that gangsta flair he puts in it. That's just something my dad loves about it. But, I'll forgive my dad for liking Suicide Squad because at least he agrees that the Joker in there sucked. So that is the one redeeming grace about you, old man. But, yeah, he really liked this movie. The only funny thing is that a guy who doesn't know fantasy lore... did not really understand. Like, he thought everything there was an alien and they came to Earth, and I'm like, no, Dad, this is basically just Lord of the Rings if they ever evolved to modern day LA. Like, just think of it that way. And he still can't wrap his head around it. Anyway, guys, audio cut out there. Me and Danny are just here real quick to say bye. Bye. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
All right.